If I told you the things I've seen on my ways, if I told you the things I've done in my days, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's best I just don't say. Lived 1,000 lives, I piloted 1,000 souls, I killed and fought and died just for a single role.
Hello, and welcome to Shadowrun on Happy Jacks. My name is Jason. I am GMing one of the crunchiest games known to gamer kind. I'm sure I'm not, and then the internet blew up and blew fire in my face. That's fine. So anyway, we're running this game called the Greenwood Collective, is the name of the show, because our characters live in the Greenwood Collective, which is a nice little sort of restored apartment building kind of thing in the Redmond Barrens, which is a pretty sort of blown out area east of Seattle. And we're going to find out more about them very soon. Let's find out about our players and a little bit about their characters.
Hello, I'm Sam. I play Echo, who is an elf and an anti-corporation trash witch.
And related to someone at the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
She definitely has a sibling at the table.
Okay. Oh, and I should say we're down one player this week. Jay isn't able to be here. I have somewhat in mind of what's happening. I'll let you guys know in character wise. But we'll be very much looking forward to his return in 2 weeks.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Candace, and I play Bones, the hacker or decker of the group, and I am a female orc.
Yep. Orcs.
Yay, orcs.
Orc life. Okay.
Like Tusk.
And
Hi, I'm Mac. I'm trying to produce this crazy thing, and I will also be playing a character named Gremlin, who is a merc on the rise, and also has a sibling at this table. Funny about that, huh?
let's try to narrow down who the options would be. The two people with siblings at the table. It's everyone. Everyone's related.
We're quadruplets.
That'd be amazing.
We should have done that. Oops.
Yeah. Oh, that would be epic.
Next time.
Yep. Or to be revealed later.
Oh my god.
You're not even the same age.
How did that happen?
Okay, so in Shadowrun, I mentioned this last time during episode 0. Not everyone watches the zeros, so I just want to say this up at the top. Shadowrun deals with a lot of, potentially upsetting themes and topics, right? Like, there's going to be gun violence in the game, and I just don't want that to be a surprise to any listeners, because that would be a huge bummer if I made someone feel bad. So that's a thing. Police abusing their authority is a thing. Class and race disparities is a thing in this game. It's part of what's happening. So these are the themes that will be explored on some level, and that can be upsetting if you don't know what's coming. So just want to put that out ahead of time. We have some lines and veils that I don't have to go all the way through again, but just know that we're using this system kind of behind the scene to make sure we, as players, and just playing together, that we're all safe and taking care of each other. That's the number one thing at any gaming table. So please, please, please take care of each other. We did a bit of stars and wishes last time. We didn't have much in the way of stars because we hadn't really played. But one wish that came up was vampires. So at some point, we're hoping to meet a vampire. It might not be today, But that's a thing that's happening. We have just a little bit of a recap. The group of the four of you used to have a fifth friend, Smitty,
Oh yeah.
Oh, that guy.
who didn't make it out of one of your shenanigans and
Pete
is
Schmitty.
lost. I mean, he's not lost. We know where he is. He's buried in the park.
I visit him.
Yeah. That was, I think, because of the conflict with the Burning Rubber Gang, specifically. You have a
I
friend.
thought it was
like
the
a
ninjas.
ninja.
Oh, ninjas are. Oh, that wasn't part of the Burning Rubber Gang.
No.
Okay,
It was
great.
the one
Ninjas are
that
separate.
attacked the...
Just ninjas. So we also have Gio Salvatore, who has a strip mall, basically, of like 5 or 6 shops, a little ways east of you as well. There are a number of sort of like biker gangs in the areas that all sort of compete for territory, and that's just kind of an ongoing, organic situation that is around. You have a number of NPCs in the collective who are important. We also got some NPCs from chat, which I will be including as I can. They might not come up today, but trust me, I love getting this stuff, and I'm going to go through and add what I can. We also spent a fair amount of time talking about your old teacher, Sunshine, last time, who is a huge, 6'4", like heavier, hairy dude named Sunshine. White guy, dark hair, probably 45 to 50, somewhere in there. Has never really said how old he is. But he was your teacher, basically helped you do all your online classes, at least up until 8th grade, because the woman who essentially runs this place, Jane, is insistent that all the kids do at least 8th grade education online. Now, you might have finished that when you were 6, right? Depending on how much you dove in and worked on your work, or if you're a clever kid, or if you put it off and took until you were 16 to finish your 8th grade stuff. Whatever, but Jane Young is the shaman who's sort of in charge of this place. She's a member of the Coast Salish Native Peoples tribe, but instead of living in Coast Salish Nation, where she could probably live a pretty comfortable life, she's actually chosen to remain here and has lived here for like 6 years. So this collective means a lot to her, and she's doing what she can to keep it running. She does that with the help of her good friend Rooster. The Rooster is definitely just a cool guy who lives here and helps out around the building, and is definitely not a former mercenary / Shadowrunner equipped with all manner of heavy weapons and machinery, because that would be crazy. That's,
Yeah, why would anyone assume he was a Shadowrunner?
Notably, he is a 12-foot tall troll, built to be a 12-foot tall monster of a person, and then on top of that has these huge black curling ram's horns.
Ooh.
So he's just enormous. He's a giant. And he, aside from being 50 years old, which a lot of orcs and trolls age a little bit faster than, like, it's a condition that people are trying to look into and figure out how to solve with medical technology. But the Rooster, in spite of being 50 years old, seems like a human 50-year-old. Like he's in that good a health, right? Like humans.
Great.
Yeah. He looks great for his troll age, because trolls are supposed to age faster, and he seems to be in really good shape. So, and also just a massive monster of a person. So, that is. Oh yeah, we fought ninjas. There's my notes. There was also that mystery where Rooster disappeared 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And the teens, which are in our eventual Tales from the Loop flashback episode,
Yeah.
the teens tried to figure out what happened to the Rooster.
Yeah.
And then he just turned up again. We'll decide later if you guys had something to do with him turning up again, or if he just turned up.
Tune into that flashback episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be right after the beach episode. Oh, God, what a world for a beach episode.
Pretty great.
So, the the cursed place in the building is apartment 313, which is the twins' apartment.
Yeah.
In case you didn't get our very subtle hinting, Mac and Sam are playing twins, and that's why we didn't let them sit next to each other.
Too confusing for everyone.
Yeah.
Yay! We did it.
So, to be clear, Echo and what's your character's name again? Gremlin. By the way, I wrote it as Gremlynn. So
That's nice. That's a thing you did.
yep,
like
it
it.
amuses me. So the twins live in 313. The 3 fell off, so it's just apartment 13. But it's on the 3rd floor, so we know. There's no surprise there. There's all kinds of background stuff that we don't have to crunch back through. If you want to watch episode 0, it was actually pretty entertaining. We used Kimmy's Decima game to do a lot of our background stuff, and that's
Super cool.
that's just like a fun, entertaining way to like keep things moving and build a backstory and do a cool story.
Inspiring ideas.
Oh yeah, launched all kinds of cool thoughts. And the probably one other thing I should mention is the heavy trogcore influence in the collective is, there was a successful trogcore band that came out of here. I think does Bones play music or is just like a fan of trogcore? Okay. So,
Don't have time for that.
so the
Maybe in
thing
VR.
the thing that came up at the very end of the episode 0 was an intro about this new company called Rise, right? They're currently they're technically a AA corporation, but they're on their way to being a AAA, which makes them one of the big ones. And that's unusual because they just split off from a AAA corporation called EVO. So EVO, to the extent that there are good guys and bad guys in the corporations, EVO is kind of like would probably be thought of as a good guy. I mean, they've had a checkered past as much as anyone, but they are committed to, like, they are trying to do medical technology, specifically trying to close the gap of medicine for orcs and trolls. And they also make like a lot of like ergonomic equipment for bigger bodies to be able to be comfortable at a chair or at a desk, or like to have that kind of equipment that like a troll just needs a big freaking keyboard, right? Because their hands are enormous. So all that kind of stuff, just no one was making it, which meant that a lot of orcs and trolls just got like low-paying grunt jobs because they weren't able to get into those other fields. So EVO is part of the big push to get like medicine pushed in the right direction, all that kind of equipment and furniture and stuff like that folks need. They're on that trip, trying to make things better.
So I like Evo.
Yeah, for the most part, they're the like if you had to pick
probably have an Evo chair in my house.
Yeah, probably.
Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, I mean, Rooster does for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like he has his whole apartment is actually he probably lives in the basement. I don't think any of these apartments are troll size because this building has been around since before UGE. Oh, that reminds me. I misspoke. If you watched episode 0, I said Vitus is where vampires come from. It's not. It's a plague that killed off millions of people. The quote unquote undead, they're not actually like supernaturally undead, minions from hell, but there is another disease called HMHVV, human metahuman vampiric virus, and there's like 4 or 5 strains that make like zombies and ghouls and like mindless undead, and then there's another strain that makes vampires, and then sometimes it does something different if like a troll gets bitten by that, or an orc or an elf. Like there's some rumors that like an elf bitten by a vampire is where banshees come from. Maybe, right? But it's kind of hard to study because they don't hang around and want to be
You
studied.
can't ask them, they just screech at you.
What?
What was the virus called? Or
HMHVV, human metahuman vampiric virus. So that's probably the extent that any of you would know about vampirism, and that it's not a secret that vampires exist. They're just super rare, and most who exist in like the knowledge of society are either being studied or like allowing themselves to be studied because they need fresh blood all the time and all that kind of stuff. So that's a thing to be aware of. But Rise Corp split off from there and made a bid to become an independent corporation. They were a branch, like they were essentially a big project in EVO. Then the people working on that project, the public face of it is like EVO wasn't, taking a daring enough approach to the project, and they weren't like giving back to the community the way that the Rise Corp group wanted to. Like EVO's good, helpful stance wasn't aggressive enough for Rise. This is Rise's claim, right? They want to get out and do good and be there in the streets, helping people. And the only way they thought they could do that was to buy themselves out from EVO, split off as a new company. They're not at the level of being AAA, but they claim they're going to be able to bring life back to the Redmond Barrens, give people work and, actually like beautify the area, like get things growing again and try to push back on the toxic elements, like the literal toxic areas in the Barrens. So that's their claim. And something we talked about offline was if any of you would have applied to Rise to go work there, because they have been visiting all over the Barrens. I mean, they're traveling in convoys of like armed and armored Humvees, right? Like with machine guns on the top, and they're just sort of rolling through, and nobody's really giving them any trouble because they're armed to the teeth. But they're just showing up places saying like, hey, here's some flyers. If anybody wants to like apply, we're over here. We'd love to hear from you. And there was a recruiter who came to Greenwood, right? And Jane let him in. He was in a like kind of silvery business suit, and an elf, probably 6'4", real tall and willowy, white hair, but not old, right? He's like 35 probably. And Jane let him come in and sort of make his spiel in the like marketplace that you guys have in the middle of the complex, and people came up and had a listen. He was handing out sign up forms, and was letting people know like if you don't have a SIN, a system identification number, which pretty much all of you would not, they will do all of that on your behalf. Like how today a company can pay for provide your visa to come to another country. Companies in Shadowrun have a legal status called extraterritoriality. And so on corporate property, it's like it's their country. And so this company, Rise, is saying, if you come here, we will create legal identities for you. You will be a Rise Corp citizen, and you'll be able to travel to places and like live a normal life and do that. So also make decent money at a job. And so there are some people in Greenwood who are like, that kind of sounds good. I want to do that. And some people have gone to apply. We know that Jay's character, Ashen? Yeah. Checked in with you, his friends, and said, I'm going to try to infiltrate, right? Like he's suspicious of them. He told you that. Jay and I spoke offline. He told you that he's suspicious. He's going to try and get into their management program. And in fact, they snapped him right up for management. And he is currently on a professional development retreat with the up-and-coming management of Rise Corp. He is, extremely charismatic and, physically intimidating as a physical adept. They would know that he's magic. Like any corporation like this would have some mages on staff and would be able to identify other people who are magically active. So we know Ashen is off on the retreat. They're supposedly over at Mount Rainier somewhere, going on hikes and,
Doing trust falls.
Yeah, trust falls, all that kind of stuff. And I think we established Echo was not going to be submitting an application.
Yes. I think she would reply with a string of expletives, no.
Okay, so then I was asking if you don't apply to come up with an NPC who would like to apply. Do you need some time to think about that?
No. I think there's probably another magic user in the collective that's maybe not quite as gifted.
Well, probably not nearly as gifted.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
Maybe a friend, but a little bit feels competitive.
Yeah.
With Echo, and
Which is silly.
which is dumb. Yeah. And so they're going to try to apply because they don't share her anti-corporation
Okay.
sentiments.
Yeah, and it's true. Like people with magical ability, because if you're not familiar with the Shadowrun setting, you can't just learn how to use magic. It's more like Harry Potter. Maybe it's Maybelline. You're just born with it. So it's there's no faking it, right? So it's a big deal to have magical ability. It's rare, and if you Echo could show up to any corporation on the planet and say, "Hello, I would like to work for you. I need credentials and I need to, ID." And they'd be like, "Yes, okay, we will give you everything and all this money and a contract, and you'll work here forever now." Yeah.
Nope. Only if I'm going to blow up the building.
Right. Forever. It's
Forever.
not very long. Okay, so what is your friend's name?
Their name is Aaron.
Okay. With an E?
The
A-E.
Irish way. EIREANN. You're welcome.
Okay. All right. And that's a magic applicant. Okay. So we know Aaron uses they them pronouns. Okay. They were accepted immediately. Is your impression of Aaron that they were sort of genuinely interested in trying to get on board with Rise's mission?
I think, yeah, a little bit. Like, they are just interested in probably the security mostly of having like a good corporate mage job. And the mission statement doesn't hurt because it seems like they want to do good.
Okay, cool. So Aaron is on the books. Bones had the idea to apply.
Yes.
And how do you? What is your thought process around that?
Well, initially, before I found out they were part of Evo, or like a branch off, it was just basically a way to get on a better grid. Because I assume they have better access to the
absolutely
Matrix. So I was
do, yeah.
like, oh, clear shot off my public local grid that like probably sucks, and I can get bigger access to better things in the Matrix.
Yep.
So that was my first thought. Also, like paycheck, because I'm trying to get like new gear all the time, and like make upgrades. So I like need that new yen coming in.
Okay.
And also just kind of like trying to be a nosy snooper and kind of hack into their stuff, like access to their inner security things. I figure if I wanted to do anything shady, that would be a great access point.
It is. Well, I just don't want it to be a surprise later. Like they're gonna fingerprint you and do photos and give you you will have an actual legal ID,
that's
not
what
your
face.
face. I mean,
right now also.
Yeah.
So what's that? How does that? What if I?
It just means you're in the system, and if you rob a place, you should not leave your fingerprints or your face.
Yeah.
Don't leave your face when you leave.
If I have to be in the system now.
I mean, lots of people deal with that. I mean, here's the thing. After your first job with any corporation, the Johnson who hired you, you'd be in the system anyway. You'd just be in the system as a Shadowrunner, right? Okay. So, like, people would know. You'll start building a rep.
Fake sins, then?
You still have those, too. Like, you could try to get through checkpoints with your fake sin instead of your real sin because you don't want to register that your actual
so we could
persona.
use either one.
Yeah.
Just like people in real life.
Yep.
Try to use fake IDs
Uh-huh.
or something.
Because
okay.
they would rather be identified that way instead of their actual ID.
Okay, it can't hurt. I could actually do some legitimate like traveling someday.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you could.
It's kind of cool.
Totally. Okay, so Bones was accepted to
Should
the...
I write that down that I have that now? A real sin?
Yeah. You are a
Real
sinner.
sin.
That's what that's called,
does that go?
as a sinner.
Here we go. Next to
You
fake.
could put it under gear. I remember I came up with a really great corporate-ese title. Where's your post? Because
I wrote it down.
I was really happy with myself.
I was accepted into the Associate Junior Director of the Integrated Matrix Operations and Oversight Team, which involves increase systemic efficiency and security.
Yep.
Is what I'll be doing.
I was really proud of that nonsense.
Whoa, let me write all that down.
Alternatively, decrease security so we can get in there.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Access efficiency. That's what you're working on. So you're part of the like Matrix security team. You know, you have a shift where you're actually supposed to sit there for a few hours, and in case some Decker is trying to, lob their way in.
Am I like a spider?
Kinda,
for
yeah.
them?
Yeah.
I read that in my book.
Yeah, I mean, there are spider programs, but also most big companies like this have live Deckers sitting around, and you'll take turns either watching the building drones, right? Because there's cameras and drones going around the building all the time. And although you don't have access to the drones with the big guns yet, you have to advance for that. But
It's fair.
I mean, unless you just wrote yourself a new admin profile. You also, so you do shifts as like building security, you do shifts as matrix security, just waiting for somebody to try to break in. You've probably dealt with a couple of incursions already, because they would just happen several times a day. Random bots will try to get in, trying to find exploits that a Decker has probably sent them anonymously to try to figure out where they can get in. So that kind of stuff is what your team handles. And we will have to come up with your whole like Office Space style team. That's what Jay and I were joking about, how Ashton's a straight shooter with upper management written all over them.
Yeah.
How do you like working here? I wouldn't say I like working here, Bob. Okay. I have 8 bosses. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. I love that movie. Gremlin.
Yep.
Application?
Fuck the man.
Yeah.
Then I need an NPC from you.
So Lance decided to join them.
Okay.
Lance was a former schoolmate and also a former crush for Gremlin.
He had a crush on Gremlin.
No, she had a crush on him.
Oh, she. Sorry. Oh, no. Gremlin had a crush on Lance.
Yes.
Lance uses he, him.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Lance was Gremlin's school crush.
Yes.
Is an accurate statement? Okay. And what kind of position is he applying for? What's he good at?
Bullshitting his way through things.
Okay. So sales.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Great. Sales team. Cool. So that has set up. Bones, are you living on campus? Because they have so I think I said before, they took over an old Costco, right? And so the bottom floor is all this like manufacturing equipment that they've brought in because they're creating like biochemicals and all kinds of stuff that they're trying to like revitalize the Barrens with. Also, like they're creating medical technology and drugs and all kinds of stuff. And so there's a second floor of this old Costco that's like all the labs and research facilities and offices and things like that. And then the third floor, it's kind of squeezed into this Costco space, right? But the third floor inside there, and then they built a fourth floor on top of what was the roof. There's 2 floors of apartments, basically. And they're small, right? They're all like Swedish efficiency apartments. But they're, it would be probably the first time you had a space entirely to yourself if you decided to live there. Or you can commute. You can go, like, they don't care.
Oh, because at home I live with Blue.
Yeah. Or you're just, like, around people all the time at the collective, right? Even if Blue's out, the walls are thin. There's, like, you always know what the neighbors are up to. All that kind of stuff.
What's the commute like if I didn't?
Short but dangerous. So...
because I feel like right off the bat, I feel like she wouldn't because of Blue.
Okay. So commute for now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I think,
And also to be away from that. Like, she doesn't want to be, like, in the corporate, like, too much, because I feel like she'd want to come home and, like, get into her, like...
Yeah.
She can't do shady business on the property, you know what I mean? So it's like, she takes home her information.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my...
So I think Erin has moved in and is kind of on board with what's happening.
Yeah.
And Lance probably commutes with you. So,
Okay.
is Lance human?
Yes.
Okay. And what is Erin's meta type?
Human.
Human. Human.
Human.
Okay. That's good. So, we're going to pick up on a weekend. Bones, you've had your first, week on the job, and Lance, too. But both of you are back, and it's, Saturday morning. What are you all up to?
Sleeping.
Okay. What have you been doing all week?
I stay up late
Uh-huh.
because I just assume that if I'm eventually going to be a good merc, that I'm going to do most of my business at night. So
okay.
I tried to do sort of a half and half schedule where I wake up in the afternoon and I'm awake through
You're
a lot
diurnal.
of the night.
Yeah, okay. Cool. What are you up to, Echo?
Is Jane an early riser?
Jane is when does she actually sleep?
Okay.
Right? She must sleep a couple hours a night because she's awake and available all the time, which is, solid NPC portfolio.
Yeah. Fair.
Maybe there's 2 of her.
You can't prove that there isn't.
She's also twins.
Or
Probably.
quadruplets.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
Probably practicing magic stuff.
Okay.
Maybe in the park.
Okay.
I want to make some fireballs. Where
Do you already know the shape change spell?
do I already shape change? No.
Okay.
Don't.
So Jane approached you this morning,
Okay.
probably before you were ready to have morning, and said, she just doesn't. She's not worried about flowery words. She's not a charismatic person.
Okay.
That's probably not fair. She's not uncharismatic. She just she's all business all the time.
nonsense.
She's not a warm and fuzzy person, even though she's a dog shaman, right? But she's just she's got so much on her plate that. So anyway, she shows up and she's like, "I want you to learn how to shape change. So let's go."
Okay. That goes fuck breakfast, let's go.
Yeah.
If somebody asks you to shape change, you say yes.
So there are roles for learning new spells. We'll start this eventually. Eventually,
Okay.
you're going to have to pay karma to learn it. You don't have to.
Okay.
But Jane is trying to teach you how to shape change.
Okay.
And she keeps turning into a big dog. And she's like, "Look, like this." And you're like, you didn't explain anything. And then she'll turn back and do it again. I'm like,
See, you just dog.
yeah.
And you're like, that's not how.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your morning is that.
Trying to turn into something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she turns you into something. Here, so like this, and then you're a dog. And
she doesn't want to be a dog.
yeah, well.
She's like,
Okay.
I don't like it.
So
do I need to roll something to start learning that?
no, we'll do that in behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's like downtime roles in Shadowrun where you're like learning new skills or trying to like pump iron to improve your attributes or do whatever. So there's a whole process.
What
for
are
that.
the limits of shape change? Like, what kind of thing can you turn into?
Like roughly your size, roughly, right?
Okay.
Like maybe a horse size. You know, like that's pretty big
Yeah.
compared to what you are
Does
physically.
it have to be a real animal?
Yeah. Well, it could. You
Not a unicorn.
no, I mean you could probably turn into a unicorn, but you wouldn't have the magical properties of a unicorn. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
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 So like cosmetically, sure, you could be
You can be a Norwal.
like there are drakes, there's wyverns, right? Which is like a little dragon, a little bit bigger than a horse. Like you could probably turn into that. You'd just be like flopping around, not able to fly, and you know, that's So
Okay.
You can fly in the Matrix.
yeah,
Why would I want to go in there? I can't do magic in there.
You can
no,
fly.
not with that attitude.
I'll probably fly out here with magic.
It's creepy.
Yeah, like shape change is not a mana spell; it's a physical spell. Like you physically, like your bones shift and your muscles stretch and your skin, like you can feel the as as she's like stretching your body
Neat.
like clay.
Neat.
Yeah,
You can just do that in
Gremlin, look what I can do.
Like, I want to do that.
Turns inside out.
And it exploded.
my favorite example of shitty superpowers is the person who can turn their skin invisible, and like please don't do that. Stop doing
You
that.
just look like that dude from Hellraiser
I
all
was
the
just
time.
Yeah.
picturing the hell.
Yeah,
Oh, that guy.
Look what I can do.
yeah.
Just making a mess of the furniture.
All right. So, the rest of the collective is like kind of hounding you and Lance about, what's it like over there? What's everyone up to? Because there are a bunch of people who haven't applied but are kind of on the fence of like, it does sound like Evo's pretty good. Like we support Evo for the most part. They're not always 100%. But the idea that Rise is like Evo wasn't going hard enough is like, is that good? I don't know.
Probably not.
But yeah, so in the like swap meet area,
In the collective? Or?
yeah. So in the courtyard, it's really
that's right.
big.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
a flea market
yeah,
thing.
like because it used to be the parking lot. It's not just like a little entryway. It's a pretty wide open area there. Remember what
It's like on Saturdays they put out their vendor
Uh-huh.
shop kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. And this is also the day where people are allowed to come in and from other areas in the Barrens
Which makes
and
sense,
like
'cause
gang
I was
members.
like, are they just selling to us
No.
every Saturday?
No. Like Burning Rubber gang members will be here. Like warring gang members will come here, and everyone knows you just don't start anything because the Rooster's here and Jane's here, and we also want to come back next Saturday, and so this is the spot where it's like neutral territory. Also, occasionally people will come in on Saturday, and Jane will like negotiate for two parties who need like a mediator. That kind of stuff happens all the time. That's just what the collective has become, is a space to do things like that. But there are a bunch of people in the collective, also like a couple Burning Rubber gang members are like, so they said they would take anyone. Well, they really, like, what's going on over there? Are they just putting people in blenders? Is Soylent Green people? Like, what's it like?
What is it like, Lance?
Lance's experience is a lot of phone calls, right? So he's cold calling people. He has like a matrix set up, a rig that he sits in a sort of suspension chair all day and is in this VR office, right, where he's making calls and like pulling down. Like he has all this data in front of him that he has to get through X number of calls, and people are like listening to his calls, and it's stressful because he wants to keep working there, and he got paid, like from Lance's point of view, he got paid a lot of money this week, where really it's not that much money, but you guys,
So I get paid?
yeah.
How much do I get
I'm gonna figure that out later.
Okay.
It's also
Alright, get paid.
we also have to write down who your legal persona is because the money is in her account.
Cool.
So that money is traceable unless you download it to a cred stick. So, but yeah. So, by the way, nobody uses cash at this point. Everything's a cred stick. That's the closest thing to cash, and it's sort of like it's like Bitcoin in that like that cred stick is not a representation of money. It is physically money, right? Like you put the codes into it, and it is subtracted from your account, and if you destroyed it, that money is just gone, right? Like there's no backup to it.
Yikes.
That's its value, is that it's untraceable and independent, and you could just hand it to someone, and no one can trace what you spent it on. Yeah, it's like a gift card. Yeah, because you buy it, and if you destroyed it, it's gone. And yes, it's a lot like a gift card. So Lance's story is pretty boring in that he's talking about how stressful it is, and everyone's like, buddy, look where we live. Like, that's stressful.
Like, calm down.
Yeah.
In your cube.
And most of your days so far, you've been given things like, well, you had to do all of your like orientation stuff, and then they like had you run this.
Harassment videos.
Yeah, you had to like click your way through that. Yes,
Tests.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, you all had to get like your legal IDs
Like
made, right?
fingerprinting
Yeah.
or
Like
whatever?
they're inventing IDs for you and just asking you like, what name should we put down? And now you're a legal citizen, right? Like the corporate courts is an international body that recognizes Rise Corp, even though they sort of did this violent, separation. I mean, air quotes around violent, right? There was no shooting involved. But the corporate courts have recognized Rise Corp, which means they're allowed to create, identities and visas and documents like this. So, yeah, the most exciting thing is by Thursday, you got to sit and watch the security drones all day. And, some like gang members drove by but didn't do anything, and you had to report that they drove by.
Like make a report. I'm
Yeah.
like, this sucks.
Yeah, like not the burning rubber, but another biker gang just like went up and down a couple times, like looking at the building, checking it out, but they didn't do anything, and you're like, well, that happened.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you and Lance have been ushered in and out of the building. Like you have to swipe in at the front. Neither of you have seen the like fabrication floor, the ground floor, or the R&D floor. Both of you would work on a part of the R&D floor. There's the offices, and then there's like the R&D like research labs and stuff like that.
What's R&D?
Research and development.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you two would be over in the more like office-y section.
We're like in cubicles? kind of
Basically, I mean, not really. You're in a suspension
Is
chair.
it like the Ready Player One where they're
Yes.
all in chairs? And
Yes.
They're all, okay, got it.
Yeah, because you sit still for 8 hours, right? Physically, you sit still, even though you're active and doing things. And sometimes the chair will just move your body around, so you're not like.
So we're not like the
Yep.
head sores.
Yeah. It just automatically monitors all that, and make sure that you're drinking. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yep.
It's the next level of my iWatch.
Yep. So
To clarify, you can eat and drink in the Matrix, and it feels like you're eating and drinking.
yeah, if you
but
have
you're
the
actually
the
not.
SimSense rig, you could think you're eating a steak. Yeah.
So like you'd feel like you were. So like in
Yeah.
real life, that's why people get like malnourished.
Yeah.
And stuff, and they
That's like a BTL. That's the
Yeah.
BTL problem, right? Is
Yeah.
they think they're just
living.
gorging on whatever this is, and they feel full because
Yeah.
psychosomatically they are,
Right.
and that's what messes you up.
Okay. Just checking.
What is
They probably have like regulated breaks and lunches to have people like eat. And
Oh, yeah.
At the corporation.
yeah, they're real strict about when you take your breaks and taking the break
Like,
when you're
Physical eating, drinking.
Yes.
And, like,
and you have to like
staying.
on your second break, you have to spend 7 of your 15-minute breaks on the treadmill.
I was thinking that, like,
Yeah.
something, like, physical.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a mandated part. I guess that wouldn't be part of your break at that point. So yeah,
Right,
they have.
it's just a mandated.
Yeah, they have mandated components of your day where you have to do physical exercise, and because you are an asset to them, right? Like that's.
It's like some legal things to do. Yeah.
Well, and also they're investing in you, right? And they want you to work for them as long as you can.
Yeah.
To maintain your equipment.
Yep. So, Gremlin, what seeing Bones and Lance, talk to everybody and kind of being the center. Like, there's probably half a dozen listening to them.
Sure.
Like, just interested in what they're saying, and Lance is being his usual, like, handsome, compelling self, and
Bastard.
he
Good looks.
yeah. He even has like a new shirt from the company store that is like,
Are we in, like, polos?
he is wearing one. You don't have to wear one, but he this is the nicest shirt he's ever owned, right? It's this.
What a sellout.
Well, it has their brand new like RC logo on it, Rise Corp, with a sunrise behind the RC, right?
I want, like, a hoodie. Like a right
I'm sure they could get you a hoodie, yeah. So how's this going for you that Lance is there just sort of telling everyone about his really exciting day in the sales virtual reality office? And
Well, I definitely don't have as much of a crush on him anymore.
oh yeah, is he too boring now?
Like, he sold out.
He's too beige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He totally sold out, and I just can't abide by that.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just that's not my speed.
Okay.
I'd probably try and wake up late, so I'd probably try and catch up with Echo too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you believe this?
Yeah. Look at that polo shirt he's wearing. We should check that thing for surveillance devices.
And burn it because it's hideous.
Well, that too.
Ugh,
Is
but
this just the two of you talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I can't believe you liked him.
Rude.
Nice.
Well, he's a sellout now. I don't like him
He's
anymore.
definitely not cool enough for you.
He's still cute though.
If you're into humans.
Oh.
It was
It's
a
like
phase,
that.
okay?
Ears are so round.
Gross.
They're weird round ears. The two of you are chatting in your apartment?
I feel like we're probably out, like, having observed this stuff.
Yeah, probably like on a balcony or
okay.
something somewhere where we can.
We could be on our
snark on
balcony, maybe,
people
of
from above.
Okay.
apartment 313.
We could probably see people from.
So you're like standing, like looking over the balcony
Into the
with the
courtyard.
like hallway behind you.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So as you're chit-chatting, eventually the sort of low thumping of footsteps comes behind you. It's unmistakably the rooster. And he kind of just comes and stands behind and between you, right? And he's standing there with his, I don't want to mess up my microphone, but he's like, has his arms folded, like kind of hunched to be in the hallway, right? Like,
Yeah.
the hallway is only 8 feet clearance, and he has 4 more feet plus the horns. So he's, pretty hunched over and looking over.
Sup, Rue?
I don't like being called that.
I noticed. But it's awfully fun.
Get your friend. We have to go for a ride. And he, lifts his chin in her direction.
Okay.
Meet me in B1. And he, scuttles his way down the hallway trying to... And you can see there are marks where his horns have hit the ceiling in here many times.
It's like a scrape.
Yeah, like this double scrape,
That's a little weird.
More than a little weird, but at the same time,
Could be fun.
yeah,
Maybe we'll get to set something on fire.
that would be fun. I'd like to set something on fire.
Let's go.
All right. So we're going to go get Bones.
So your elf friends, the twins, come downstairs. How do you get Bones out of this crowd? That's what I want to know.
Just walk up into the middle of crowd. Hi, Bones, we gotta go.
Bones has her Rise Corp hoodie on like this, and she's so like probably like irritated with all the people and.
Oh, doesn't want to be in the crowd anyway.
Kind of like probably looking around and like answering questions, but just feeling like that social anxiety of like, oh my god, there's so many people here.
Get in, loser. We're gonna go do something.
Oh, thank God. Oh, gotta go. I have things.
Lance is like, that's cool. Let me tell you about this other thing I did.
And then I answered the phone this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, super big eye roll from Gremlin.
Yeah. My percentage went up by 1.5 points. Yeah. So, when you head down to basement 1, this is a pretty well-known like storage area. There are also some like a few people who live down here who are sensitive and or allergic to sunlight, which is a relatively common allergy. I shouldn't say common, but like it's not that weird for someone to be allergic to light. So there are several people who live down here during the daytime and only come out at night, right? So there's some like living area down here and all that. And when you come down there, this space is much more open, right? Because you could drive trucks. This used to be, basement 1 was actually like garage 1, right? It was a parking level. So this is a place where we used to bring cars in and out for whoever lived in this apartment building. But no one really uses it for that because the like ramp to drive down has all been blocked off because we don't want people sneaking in, so it's been like cemented over. When you head down there, Rooster kind of gives you a wave from across the room and, looks around and sees that like the people who live down here are kind of in their bunks and no one's really like watching what you're doing. And he shoves a piece of the basement wall and it like moves back a few inches and then swings open. So there's a door down here that you weren't aware of, but apparently the Rooster would like you to follow him. Mm-hmm. And he is like being quiet, right? Because he doesn't want everyone to see this door in the wall. So everyone good to go?
Yeah, I'm going wherever Rooster's going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there anybody else
showing
around?
us secrets?
I mean, there's people asleep in their like makeshift apartments.
So nobody's like watching us. Or
No.
anything? Okay.
Yeah, plus still super, super convinced about what he used to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, you follow through the door. He waits for everyone to get in and then closes it before going down the stairs that are there. And you go down and come out in what is clearly labeled as P2. We're like, oh, there's another parking level. We didn't even realize this was down here. And here, when he walks out into the kind of open space, all these lights sort of auto flicker on. You also, Bones, your just like the passive effect of your comlink is like, oh hey, I have a high-speed network available. Should I connect to it? Like a really high-speed network.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's like, yes.
Yeah.
Automatically connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a node here that is essentially connected to the global what's the word we were just talking about? Yeah, the global grid.
Down there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So from here, he has some sort of uplink to the global grid, which you had no idea was down here, which means it's pretty well shielded and probably hardwired to some sort of antenna somewhere.
Okay.
Or a satellite dish. Also down here are a number of locked metal cabinets that are, all like floor, like 8 feet tall probably. All these cabinets, all kinds of stuff in there. No idea what it would be. It's certainly big enough for like big guns or a rocket launcher or tons of clothes. I don't know what he does down here. But probably most notably right away is an armored Humvee with like a turret light machine gun on top that is not a turret. You have to get up and it's like an auto drone turret, right? Mm-hmm. And the Humvee is fully kitted out with Rise Corp logos.
Oh.
And the Rooster says to the three of you, you don't have to come with me if you want. Bones, I think you're phoning it in over there, which is why I'm offering you this. I want to do a drive-by and see what's really going on over there. I need you to look into the astral realm. Mm-hmm. I want you to actually scan their system. Oh. And I need you to drive.
You got it.
Yeah, I want to see what they're up to. They're up to no good.
Aren't they all?
Well, yeah. Evil Corp wasn't evil enough for them, so they had to make their own. I don't trust them one bit.
Yep.
Hey, I have an Evo chair.
Evil chair.
My evil chair. You probably like scratched the logo and made it say evil chair.
So when you get closer to the Humvee, you realize it's totally outfitted to be able to seat somebody who's 12 feet tall. So it's like much taller than a normal Humvee. But there are also normal size seats inside, and there's one like a really big seat that can turn to a like an array of jamming equipment and just like comms equipment. It's not really matrix gear the way that you would use it, but it's like connections and scanning and all that kind of stuff. So pretty quickly he like actually moves some of the seats around. He removes a couple of seats. Like this thing is pretty modular, and also like changes a couple settings, and the light machine gun like shortens itself a little, and the whole thing flips. Right, so the top of the truck is just flat, and the light machine gun is hidden inside, like it's inside the truck with you, right? Mm-hmm. And otherwise, he could like flip it and redeploy, but it's hidden, right?
Okay.
Oh, what a ride!
Well, it took some time to put this together. The thing, I'm not just a groundskeeper.
No
I'm
way.
shocked.
Shocked face.
Yeah, we're like,
Well,
you're so slick about it.
thank you. He seems really sincere. Like he's not picked
We're
up.
like looking at each other like,
Oh, sweet buddy.
So I want to swing by, try to get as good a look as possible. We're not going to try to go in, but understand if they make us, they will probably shoot at us. And I want you to know that ahead of time. You'll lose your position. All of that could go to hell. So,
well, good thing I know where all the security drones are.
okay, that's the kind of stuff I wanted to document, right? Yeah. So I want to see what they're up to. I want to know what they're looking at and looking for. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to know. And we should be able to just drive by pretty closely without getting too much bad attention. So, do you know, Bones, what kind of algorithms they have running? What are they trying to identify in vehicles that come by? So here, I'm going to have you roll some dice. Let me look at your skills, because I don't remember all the skills. Your character sheet. I think it's this one. Yeah. So I'm going to have you roll your... yeah, seriously.
Feels. Yeah. I also have like things here.
Oh, that's fine. We're going to do electronics plus intuition. So normally electronics would go with logic, but we're going to roll your intuition because we're trying to get a gut feeling for what's happening here. Does that make sense?
Does it have anything to do with this?
Let me see. So your ability called Analytical Mind. Well, yeah, in this case, rather than doing a logic test, we're going to do intuition because you're doing a gut check rather than a full...
This is more for like puzzles and so on.
Yeah, or writing code or, all that kind of stuff would be applicable. But he's like asking your opinion, right? So you're gonna. What's your electronics is 5, and your intuition is
5. No. Yeah. 5.
Is it?
Does this mean? Yeah, it's 5.
Your intuition's 5?
Yeah.
I thought your logic was 5.
They're both 5.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy. Okay, so
Everything's 5.
so you're gonna roll. So you would have 10 dice available to you. I'm gonna apply a -1 modifier because he's asking you to remember something that you weren't trying to document earlier. You know what I mean? Like,
Of what?
well, he's asking you like what patterns were they asking you to look for? You know, if you think about it, what kinds of things were you watching for when you were on security detail? That's what he wants you to relay to him. So you're going to roll 9 dice.
You don't have to change it, but I feel like she would have been taking a lot of notes about stuff because I feel like her purpose for going in there was to
Okay.
get their information, but we don't. I mean,
Okay.
it's up to you.
We'll know that going forward.
Yeah. Maybe not specifically what he's asking her
Right.
now, but like she is trying to make some kind of like notes on things. Oh crap, there's a lot of things. This one was not in it. So,
And so
what
if
am I
you're
looking
if you're watching on video, you'll notice so 5s and 6s.
yeah, okay. So I
Um,
want 5s and 6s?
Yep, those are hits. So it looks like you got 4 hits, and you only got 2 1s. The 1s matter because if half of your dice come up 1s, you get what's called a glitch. So you might even succeed at your task, but if half of the rest of the dice are 1s, something bad will happen.
Is it half of the total?
Yes.
Okay.
So in this case, you'd have to get 5 of them come up as 1s. Yeah, which is pretty unlikely.
What if I
right?
got 4?
That's not
Since it's
half.
an odd
That's less than
number.
half.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 is less than half, so that's not a problem. But if you get half 1s and no successes, something very bad happens, and we'll just sort of adjudicate that if it happens. But 4 successes is huge. That's very good. You are able to outline for him kind of a good path to go, and we'll be able to sort of monitor the response of the security drones because of what they're looking for. And for the most part, they're not going to be looking for a Humvee with Rise Corp markings. But you're also able, so at the 4th success is like you realizing that they are going to notice the shape of this Humvee is different. And it might not trigger something right away, but if you can create a countermeasure on the fly, you might be able to make a sensor. Like if somebody's just looking at the truck, they're like, right, that's bigger and weird. Why is that so tall? But you could make a sensor like a drone. You could trick it into thinking it's just a normal shaped Humvee because these guys are driving Humvees all over the place, right? So if we get into that situation, you now have the ability to try and like cloak the Humvee to an electronic eye, not a person. You're not going invisible or actually doing an illusion, but you could do some algorithmic magic and try to fool that. Okay. Any other prep before we hit the road?
I don't think so.
I think that Gremlin is stoked.
Okay.
Super stoked.
So the driveway that he's prepared to get out is a broken bit of wall that turns out like it looks like a pile of rubble, but the whole pile just shifts out of the way, right? So that's like on a thing that moves, and it's an illusion that it's actual pile of rubber, but rubber.
That's the stunt bricks.
But his Bat cave exit
Yeah,
is
that's what I was thinking.
into an old what used to be a subway tunnel, right?
Okay.
And it's just not used as a subway tunnel anymore because it's the Barrens. And then he drives and eventually goes up stairs at a subway station. Or actually, you are doing this.
Yeah.
And you come out of the subway station and you realize you're in the park where your friend is buried.
Smitty is buried.
Yeah. And apparently that park used to be a subway station, which this is the first time you're realizing that. there are a lot of like holes in the ground that you don't just go into random holes in the ground, right? That's a dumb idea here. Ghouls are real. There's all kinds of things underground and in the dark that are dangerous and scary, and there's no reason you would have gone down into the subway tunnels before now. But you come up out of there and, make your way towards the edge of the Barrens where the Rise Court building is set up. So, in the interest of flying casual, Gremlin, let's do a driving roll.
Cool. Approximately how many dice should I roll? Because I was driving another vehicle today that had my game bag in it, then broke down, so I don't have my character sheet.
Do you have any idea what your reaction score was? It was one of your 8 attributes. 4-ish?
Sure. I mean,
Mine's
we spec'd her with the idea that she was going to be doing some driving.
Yeah. So let's roll 8 dice.
All right. You go over here, Die. You're too many.
Holy moly. Okay.
Yeah, so that would be 3 successes.
Yeah, that's good. And normally we're not going to roll dice to just like drive around town.
Sure, but this is like a real go at something a little bit different.
Right.
And it's not my vehicle.
Right. So you're familiarizing yourself with the controls. You realize, he's like moved the steer. It's more of a yoke than a steering wheel, right? Like it's not a jet. It's not going to suddenly transform and fly, right? But it's just like a high performance control system that you're like holding. It's like too big, right?
Sure.
So
like the old Xbox controllers.
Yeah, exactly. It's an actual Xbox controller, appropriate for troll-sized hands. I have a friend who special ordered a smaller Xbox controller because her hands weren't big enough to use the regular one.
The original one
Yeah.
was huge.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know.
She couldn't reach all the buttons without moving her hands.
But I had PlayStations for so long.
Yeah. Just normal sized controllers. Anyway, you're familiarizing yourself with the controls. You're also realizing like the windscreen has like all kinds of shit built into it.
Neat.
It's obviously bulletproof, and it's got some like just feedback information coming at you of like motion detection and like stuff flitting behind buildings. And you're like, wait, what was that? And you realize you can pull that back as a recording on the window. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The wide eyes are more
yes. And you can see like, oh, that was a what are they called? They're not called hell rats. They're called. There's a rat. It's like a death rat or hell rat or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a famous Shadowrun monster. I'll think of it in a minute. Hey, wait a minute. I have a book. Anyway, it's a hell rat.
Devil rat?
Devil rat. Yes, thanks. Good job, chat. Devil rat, the size of a like Great Dane, goes by, and you're like, okay,
Wow.
Never mind. I don't need to know about that.
I want to ride it.
Echo's like trying to memorize what it looks like so she can try and shape change into it later. She's like, ooh, that's a good one. Maybe I should try that.
For the record, devil rats are supposed to be like the size of a cat, right? Like this is way bigger than.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's whatever. It's
It's just really well fed.
Yep.
I said I want to ride it into battle.
Yep. And as you make your way through the Barrens, there are a number of you pass a couple of different squads of biker gangs. Like there's 4 guys who go by, and then there's 5 guys from a different gang who go by, but none of them give you any trouble, probably because of the Rise Corp markings. Even though there's only one Humvee, a few of them make rude hand gestures and yell to show how tough they are, but they don't actually draw weapons or try to do anything. They just make noise and
So tempted to just run them off the road.
well,
Can I?
you can. You're driving. What are you gonna do?
I want to run a couple of those guys off the road.
Okay, are you trying to run them over or just like?
Just scare them.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's do reaction plus intimidation. So it's probably, I don't know if you put a lot of dice into intimidation. Let's roll 6.
6?
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm pretty sure your reaction's like 4 or 5, but awesome. There you go. So yeah, you swerve and a bunch of the bikes like scoot off the road and like thunk and fall over and they're cursing Rise Corp's name. You've definitely lowered the reputation of Rise Corp with that particular biker gang.
Yeah.
Did it.
And eventually the big building that they've taken over comes into view, and you can see the extra level that they've like bolted onto the roof of apartments. You can see the like windows that they've cut into what was just the solid Costco walls, and all the little modifications they've done. There's also a whole like ring of green around the building of like grass that's sprung up. There's like a couple of fruit trees of some kind. I don't know if any of you have seen a fruit tree in person before. Does that seem
fruit.
accurate?
If there's not one in the collective, probably.
No,
Not.
you guys have like some fir trees, some evergreens over by
I
the
heard of
collective.
them in tales of myth
Yeah.
and song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah,
The
so
local lore.
yeah, I don't know if even you've had much in the way of fresh fruit like ever, but there's some kind of fruit, a couple fruit trees out in front of the building now. Maybe 10 feet tall trees, not huge, but
This is in front of the Rise Corp building?
Yeah.
Oh, then I've seen them.
oh yeah,
At
that's
work.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you walked by them to get in here. But again, probably the only fruit trees you have ever been
Oh,
by.
yeah.
And they're apple trees because you were there.
Are they generous with them? Have they tasted one?
No,
Oh, we can't touch those.
no, you're not allowed to.
The
My
forbidden
mouth
fruit.
just waters.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time.
You were on tree monitoring duty at one point.
Yeah, I'm
and,
like, get you one day, my pretty.
So, as you're going by, the rooster is like doing a whole bunch of stuff with his monitoring equipment and like trying to get broad spectrum recordings going. And Bones, Rooster turns to you and says, "There's a jamming signal here, but I can't identify what the signal is. So."
Looking at that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I need you to come up with a counter ECM, electronic countermeasure, a countermeasure, based on your understanding of their signals, but one that won't draw attention. Can you come up with something like that on the fly? I didn't think their countermeasure would be so strong. Well, you have I think your electronics skill covers jamming or countermeasures.
Okay.
The group electronics.
Computer hardware software is in electronics. Or hacking is cracking, cyber combat, and electronic warfare.
Oh, that one. Electronic warfare.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would be plus logic. So you would actually get to use your, what was that?
Plus this?
The quirk. Yeah, the thing you were using.
Okay. Let's see. Describes in.
I think it was +2 to a logic test.
Yeah, +2 to the dice pool modifier.
Yeah. So you're actually going to
It
roll.
also reduces the time it takes the character to solve a problem by half.
Oh, that's good because you need to do it real fast.
Okay. Cool.
So
That's 12.
yeah, that's 12 dice.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Mac, on the camera, can you see the pips?
Yes.
Okay,
you
that's
can only
good.
see the ones that are white.
Good. That was my goal. I was hoping people would be able to see that.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Four
Wow.
successes.
Okay. Yeah. So you get in there and your first impression of what to do.
When we're rolling dice, there's only like a maximum hits that we can get, right?
Yes, that would be
What's
your
that limit?
that would be your mental limit, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 4.
Where do we find that?
We should have written it down up above. Can I see your character sheet real quick? The mental limits are it's here. Your mental limit's 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good to
Yeah, so anything related to that, you get to keep lots of your successes. So you actually, I had an idea for 3 successes where you didn't quite make it, but at the last second you realize like, oh no, that's too obvious, and like and reskin this signal so that it looks like it's supposed to be here, and Rooster's able to do some more in-depth technological scans, and he's actually trying to scan what's in the fabrication floor, right? Like that part of the building that you haven't been to. He's trying to do some deep scans of what they're doing in there. And Echo,
Yes.
Rooster doesn't 100% understand what he's asking you to do, but he's like, "What? Can you look?"
Do a magic look.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways you could do this. One,
Okay.
you could astrally perceive and stay in your body and look out the window, which, is fine. Or you could leave your body. You're strapped into a chair, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You could leave your body, leave the truck, and go look around as an astral specter, right? But whatever sort of astral defenses they have could be potent. Also, just in the Barrens, sometimes there are toxic spirits wandering around. Lots of reasons why you might not want to do that. But you're also not like on the property, and so an astral person floating by, if Rise Corp doesn't want to attack people like that right away, like they would get,
Yeah.
it would look bad, right?
That's true.
So,
Is there a difference between what I can, like the information I can get?
yeah, so astral space is a little like the Upside Down, but not terrible, right? It's like the Upside Down is our world, but terrible. Astral space is our world, but the like spirit energy of everything that's around us, right?
Okay.
So a building is still there, and you can't just see through the wall. But if it's just inanimate material, you can pass through the wall and look at what's on the other side. Most corporate security is going to have either ivy on the wall or some kind of material in the wall that's living that you can't pass through.
Gotcha.
Living material has the no clip option, but you can clip through walls without living material on it.
Okay.
So the Rise Corp doesn't have ivy on the outside of the walls that you could see, but they may have some sort of ward, right? There could be spells keeping people out. They may have astral spirits, just guarding on patrol.
Okay.
But you're also not on their property, so they shouldn't attack you if you, go out and look around.
Okay. Yeah, why not? Let's give it a try.
Okay, great. So you let everyone know you're going to astrally project, probably.
Yeah.
She does this all the time.
Yeah.
Way.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back. Watch my body.
Yeah, it's good to do because sometimes mages just go limp, and you need to know, like, was that on purpose or did they just die?
Yeah.
Like, the mages' lives are complicated.
Yeah.
So, whoosh, out of your body. You don't have to roll anything to
okay.
astrally project. That part's easy. Interpreting what you see is another thing. All right.
Yeah.
So you float up out of the car. And the car keeps going, right? That's fine. You could catch up once you decide to. But do keep track of where the car is, because you can sort of lose your body. Not like you can magically try to find it again.
Okay.
But technically, if your body moves, you don't 100% know where it is. So keep track of that.
Okay.
She's going to weaken it, Bernie's it.
Yeah.
But, and you can stay out of your body for 6 hours. It's equal to your magic rating.
Perfect.
So,
okay. Shouldn't take that long, hopefully.
no, please don't stay out that long. But when you come out, you're used to the Barrens looking pretty bleak or sick, right? People's auras will show you, are they healthy? Are they generally happy or sad? Are they sick? They'll show you things like that. Not what they're thinking about, but their like overall kind of emotional state.
Okay, they're like a mood ring.
Yeah, mood ring information.
Yeah.
It's definitely what's available right on the surface, right? So most of the Barrens is fairly bleak, or you'll see, wild animals kind of moving around. or occasionally it's toxic and horrible. But looking at the Rise building and the lake beyond is like you just stepped out of the door into a live sunset. Like everything is bright. The astral version of the building is completely overgrown, like a jungle, right? Like it looks completely overrun with plant matter. It's not literally, right?
Yeah.
But its sort of astral spirit is overgrownness.
Okay.
And right away, your friend Aaron is like floating by in astral space and is with another person. You don't know if they're like a human or elf or whatever in astral space, but there's an astral person with her who is definitely a person and not a spirit.
Okay.
Aaron hasn't seen you, but would probably recognize you.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
So I have one of my qualities is Astral Chameleon, which I think I didn't write down what it does, but I'm pretty sure I remember it means that I'm like harder to track in astral space or something.
I can tell you.
I forget.
Astral chameleon.
I love it. Yeah, you, anyone who's trying to assense you after you've left gets a -2 modifier to try to assense. So that's like magical forensics is at a disadvantage to try to identify you.
Okay.
Which is good.
Good. Can I hide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's roll stealth plus magic.
Okay.
I don't think that makes any sense, but that's what we're going to do.
Why not? I thought I have stealth. I know that. Where'd it go? Sneak?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, stealth as a group.
My magic is 6, and my sneak is 3, so I roll 9 dice. I'm very sneaky.
Is that 5?
6.
Oh, my.
6 successes.
Okay.
6. Oh, the one of them's a 5.
5 of them are 6s?
5 of them are 6s.
That's gross. Okay. So, you fade into... Have you read about the background count in Magic chapter yet? Okay. So, everywhere you go, there is a background count. Sometimes it's very low. Sometimes it's high. It's sort of like if you have a Geiger counter measuring just atmospheric radiation, right? So there's always an amount of kind of astral energy. Most of the Barrens is pretty weak, but then there are oases, like the Collective has a a higher astral background count. Salvatore's strip mall has a higher, because people live there and have lives, and right. It's based on how people live, right? Like one of the problems recently, like there's a Mars base in Shadowrun, right? So they're actually Evo was the first company to have a manned mission to Mars. It was the first group. So interesting side note. They had trouble getting there because there's no magical background. It's like a magical void in space on top of every other kind of void. And they wanted to have a mage on the trip. And the first one who went to space immediately went insane because they just couldn't be.
Yeah.
So.
No, just don't go to space.
Yeah, it was bad news. So this place, just like off the charts, and you're able to like just blend in.
And just
right?
like Homer Simpson into the hedge.
Yes, exactly. And you can see really clearly the boundary that you shouldn't cross because there's a ward. And, well, actually, let's see how well you can see that. We need to do an assensing roll.
Okay.
That's assensing plus, you have the assensing skill, I think, right?
Yep.
I don't remember what we add that to. Hold on. Yay, giant book of looking things up.
Woo.
I know. So many Shadowrun fans are just screaming in their minds right now.
This is the we're all learning
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And we're getting used to our abilities and the rules.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so funny because I used to know this game so inside and out,
It happens.
and then I played other games.
Yeah.
And made one.
Yeah.
Oops. Oops, I made a game.
Speaking of magic,
Right?
142 or
all
312.
sorts of neat magic things in demigods.
Yeah, which got fully funded, and then some, and then
Oops.
some more,
Funded
and
by,
then
like,
some
more
more.
time.
Yeah.
Astral Perception is 312.
Demigods, we're talking about demigods.
Look it up.
It's very good.
Don't be left out.
Okay, Astral Perception. Yeah, okay, so there's an ascensing table. That's good. So you're going to want at least a couple of hits on this.
Okay.
But you're going to roll Astral Perception.
All of these.
Okay, cool. I think it's just a sensing plus magic.
Okay.
Oh no, a sensing plus intuition. Aha! I found it.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're checking the aura of the building.
Okay. So my intuition is 5 and a sensing is 2, so 7 dice.
Great.
Take 2 of these away.
Is it warm in here or is it just me?
The AC isn't on, so.
Yeah, it keeps like going for a second and then quitting. I'm gonna go turn it up.
Oh, I didn't turn it on when we got
I
it.
got
I did.
3 successes.
Okay. 1 second.
We're gonna turn on the AC.
Yeah, just more.
More things.
More air.
I turned it to 69. Nice. Okay.
Also, you're wearing a long sleeve and you're the GM. Because I know when I GM games, I'm like sweating and the players are all, it's fine. I'm like, it's so hot.
Yeah,
It's hot, guys.
that definitely, that's real.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background for a sensing in the future, 0 hits, information gained, none is literally what it says here on this chart.
it, yep.
0, information gained, none. Okay. At 1, with just 1 hit, you would gain the subject's like health, a general state of health, their emotional state or impression, happy, sad, angry, and whether they're mundane or awakened. Right? You're awakened, your sister is mundane, etc.
Rude.
So
This is the awakened side. This
Yeah.
is the mundane
right,
side.
exactly. With 2 hits, you would get all of that information right? So this is additive. The presence and location of cyberware implants, right? That can be really helpful sometimes.
yeah.
You might not know exactly what the cyberware is, but you'll see kind of like dark spots in the aura of like, oh, that's running all the way through the nervous system. That's interesting.
Tell Gremlin where to aim.
Yeah, it's probably wired reflexes, right? Like if it's something down their spine and spider webbing out into their body, that's probably wired reflexes. And your sister has wired reflexes, so you would know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Stop being my daughter, God.
You would also know if it's a magical subject, kind of the class of it, like if it's an elemental or a spell or a focus, a power focus or something like that. And if you've seen the aura before, you'll recognize it, right? Regardless of any physical disguise, right? So if somebody put on a hat and a funny nose, you would still recognize their aura.
J'accuse.
If it's an aura, if it's somebody's aura you've seen before, right? Just somebody wearing a disguise who you've never met before, you might not realize they're wearing a disguise.
Yeah, I
Does
don't
that
know
make
that's
sense?
not
Yeah.
their real nose.
You got 3 hits?
Yes.
Okay, so this would be, you would notice the presence and location of alphaware cyber implants, which is a little higher quality and sometimes hard to see because it's really high end. You could see whether their essence and magic are higher or lower than yours. Almost everyone's would be lower than yours because if anyone has cyberware, their essence is lower than yours, right?
Yeah.
A mage might have higher magic than you if they're initiated,
Okay.
which is something you're going to want to do eventually. And that's the only way to raise your magic over 6. So
Initiated into what?
you just have to be an initiate in some group, right? There are lots of groups you can join, but you have to be an initiate in a group of magic users. And there are like magic users who play backgammon together, magic users who do blood magic, magic users who, are all dog shamans, right? Like so there's clubs to join, and so you have to find one and join that. Every corporation has an initiate group, right?
Just very weirded out by groups.
Yeah, that's probably why you haven't initiated yet.
Yeah. Sounds too corporate.
You would also know if a subject's force is higher or lower than your magic, and that someone's force would be if they're a spirit of some kind.
Okay.
All right, like people don't have a force rating, but spirits do. You could also get a pretty good diagnosis of a malady, like a disease or toxin. Maybe not total specifics, right? That's 4 successes, but you could definitely be like, oh, they got the plague. They're real sick.
Gross.
And then
FYI.
any astral signatures on top of another. So like if somebody's wearing a power focus, right? You could see them and this other astral signature, right? Or if somebody has a spirit bound as like their shield, you might see multiple layers of things, right? So 3 successes is pretty good. And what you're seeing is this building and the overgrowth impression that you get, that feeling of overgrowth, is completely, it's not an illusion, but it's also not like a thing that's alive, right? It's purely just this building's sense of itself, which is your first indication of like, this building has a sense of itself. So that may be something, and it may not be. It might be that some sort of like spirit of man has been summoned to look after the building.
Okay.
And if it was really powerful, maybe you wouldn't be able to separate it because, again, 3 successes is good, but this might be kind of over your pay grade.
Yeah.
But you also can see very clearly where the line is, where you can cross and not cross. And it is a perfect circle outlined by the 2, like if you look at the 2 apple trees and measure the radius to the center of the building, that's the perfect circle you could draw around the square building and have a perfectly, it's like a dome actually of a ward that goes all the way over the building and around it, and would, and it's the force of that ward is much higher than your magic rating.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Fuck with.
Yeah, it's not just higher; it's much higher, and I'm not going to tell you how much because it's.
That's fair.
If it was only a little bit higher, I would. Like if it was 8 or 9, I would probably tell you.
Okay.
So, that is. Yeah. Oh, so you successfully hid as well.
Yeah.
When your friend Aaron goes by, you can hear this other mage who is explaining to Aaron. Aaron is also a more like mage, not like a shamanic tradition person. And the person who's like mentoring her or whatever is also a mage rather than a shaman.
Okay.
But is going by and explaining how some of the defenses work, and explaining like definitely don't touch any of the trees out here because it's going to cause a huge problem, and it's like the number 1 alert that can go off unless like if you're in trouble, come here and grab an astral apple, right? And it's your first indication that these trees are more than just physical trees, right? They're actually like, they're physical trees in the real world, but they also have veins of mana running through them, which is a little unusual for a tree. Unusual in the sense that you've never heard of that.
Yeah.
So, that's about as much of that conversation as you could get without popping out of the hedge at them. Tell me more. Tell me everything. That's probably not going to go
Being
great.
a literal hedge witch.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, you are able to use the immense background count here to sort of fade back, and then they go by. You hear that snippet of their conversation, and the truck is turning the corner, so you should probably hurry back.
I'm going to try and get back in my body.
Easy. You don't have to roll anything for that. So, as you've made that pass, you did this scan, you did a thing, and just after that one pass, the rooster says, "Okay, let's head back. Let's not push our luck." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And when you come back, you wake up. Rooster says, "So, can you tell me what you saw before we got back, please? Because I don't. Jane probably doesn't want to hear all of this."
Oh, yeah, totally. The building has a sense of self. Weird, first of all. Don't like it. Also, their security system is real tied into those trees. Don't touch those apples.
Looks so good.
Yeah. It's apparently, like, part of their serious alert system, and the trees are magic. Which is weird. In case anybody didn't know that.
I thought all trees were alive.
They are
Isn't
alive.
that magic? Jane said magic is life.
Kinda.
Jane says a lot of things are alive.
But the trees have, like, mana running, like, up out of them. That's not a normal tree thing.
I thought everything had mana.
I don't know how to explain
He
this
doesn't
to you.
know magic.
How do the trees look in, like, with my augmented reality?
I mean, mostly they just look like
Just brighter,
trees.
like,
Yeah,
juicier apples.
yeah. I mean, they're.
They just look like really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Apple trees.
Yeah. Do you know Do you know what Fuji apples look like? With that sort of
Those
yellow
ones.
and red streakiness
yeah.
to it. It's like that, but like the yellow is more gold, so it's like red and gold streaky, almost metallic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but still, organic.
Cool.
Okay.
I
So.
also tell them, and that the boundary of where the warding is around the building is where the trees are, like a circle at that point around the building, and dome over the top too. And it's powerful. Like, I'm definitely not getting through that thing.
So, just to understand for my player brain, magic and matrix different.
Can never mix. Yeah.
It's not. Okay, so like something that she's seeing and finding out this magical stuff, like I wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, it'd be totally
It's
separate.
like a totally separate thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. they're really
I'm
like.
like, we're good, guys. Oh shit, there's a big like.
Yeah,
church.
Shadowrun really has like 3 layers of existence, right?
Yeah.
There's like meat space, there's the matrix,
Uh-huh.
and then there's astral
Yeah,
space.
which
And-
I read, and then I have no idea what she's doing.
yeah,
What's this other space you're in?
I love
I'm
it.
Like, I don't understand.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, me and
This is
me
the
and-
shit I
me
love
and
about
Rooster are
Shadowrun.
like,
Yeah.
But while I was in there, I saw Aaron from the collective.
Oh.
And that's how I overheard some stuff about the defense system, because there was a person just explaining to them how the defense system works. So we might be able to get more info from them.
That's good to know.
So you're explaining this to Rooster and you. The 3 of you are having this conversation. I think because we're heading back, probably nobody's super clued into the scanning devices right now. Does that seem accurate?
Oh, I thought we were back.
No, we're driving back,
driving.
right? We're Rooster said, "Let's go back." Everyone said, "Okay, let's go back."
Oh,
and
are we
he's
heading back?
yeah, and he's
If we're playing that out, I kind of wanted to. So there, you mean the scanners that are.
well, just like he has all this equipment in here, right? Of
Oh.
like to look around and see.
Our scanners.
Yeah, and so
Oh,
the Rooster is definitely not looking at it right now. He's like turned around to have this conversation with the 2 of you in his enormous chair.
I
And
was going to say something about the security devices on Rise Corp. If there was a way to like mask what we look like, because I know we. Can,
Oh,
like,
yeah, as the
change
truck went by?
icons and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I was trying to like find things that I could possibly do, and I was thinking maybe something like there was probably not the change icon one because it said it wouldn't hold under perception, which I'm sure the security camera is doing. But there was another one where you could actually like change your whole
do you know?
the wrapper program.
Yeah, do you know what your Dex Sleaze program is? or sleaze rating is? Did we write that down?
Yeah, I have that. Yes. Right now it's at a 5.
Okay, so
And
let's
then
roll.
I can also use stealth as a hacking program if I need to.
Okay. I think what I want to do is, we know we have that program running. You're going to try to, wrap the truck in a more normal-looking impression as you're driving by. So what I'm going to have you do is roll.
So I can have stealth and wrapper running as my 2 programs up.
I think so. Yeah.
Since we're adding
Well, I think you
those,
probably don't want
or-
stealth because you want them to see you. You just want them to see something different,
Oh.
right? So that's fine. We could just use the wrapper program.
Okay.
And what I'm going to have you do is roll electronic warfare plus logic and use sleaze as your limit.
Okay. You don't have to. Yeah, there's no like stats associated with this. It's basically if this is running, you can do that.
Yeah, it gives you the opportunity to try to do something. So, like you can't shoot somebody if you don't have a gun, but
Yeah.
you can't
Like,
wrap
it's
something
not-
if you don't have the
it's not
wrapper
running.
program.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Say it again.
So you're going to roll electronic warfare plus logic, and your set sleaze is 5.
Yeah.
So we'll use sleaze as your limit for the test.
This is to attempt to wrap.
Yeah.
To
2.
yeah.
Any ones? You rolled all those dice and no ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to consider that an extra success.
Oh, okay.
That's a kind of a house rule that I do sometimes. So, wait, you don't have negative karma, do you?
No.
Who has do you have negative karma?
No.
Oh, she does. Okay, good. So yeah, you're able to create the recording of your truck going by makes it look like a normal Rise Corp Humvee, and as you're so you're focused on making sure that you guys look normal in the cameras, which is good. No one's going to care about this Humvee going by. Success. Good job.
Okay.
The 2 of you are talking to Rooster inside the Humvee. So Mac, you're the only one looking out the front of the Humvee right now, and I need you to roll perception plus intuition.
Cool.
Probably 8 dice. I don't know.
8 dice. Yeah, sorry about that.
Reminder, listeners, we don't have Mac's character sheet today, so
Yep,
we're winging it.
It's in my broken car,
That's fine.
which is fun because I'm driving our
the
car
game.
here.
Oh my.
4 successes, no ones.
Okay, good. So the moment before you drive over it, or actually like a little bit before so you're going to tell me how you react, right?
Okay.
You're about to drive over. You see this glinting silver line about a foot off the ground over the road, right? You're pretty far away from Rise Corp right now, so it's not like a Rise Corp booby trap, right?
Sure.
This is just some random bullshit in the Barrens, right? But you see this silver line about a foot off the ground, whether it's like an explosive tripwire or what, like you don't know what it does, but probably don't want to drive over it. And so you have an opportunity to make a last minute decision here. Do you want to slam on the brakes? Do you want to swerve? Do you want to gun it and drive over it as fast as you can? Or something else that I haven't thought of? And the 3 of them don't have time to respond. So
Far are we from home, essentially?
you're probably about halfway from Rise Corp to home.
She's feeling really gutsy right now because this felt like a mission. And I feel like she's just going to gun as fast as she can over it.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
seems very gremlin.
I like it.
Like, so it's just like they're going along, everything, and then it's like,
Yeah. I think, what did we roll for driving earlier?
a small silver thread, basically about a foot off of the road.
last time for driving we rolled 8 dice. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do -1 because of the kind of surprise reaction, and have you roll 7 dice.
Okay.
And I'm looking up some rules right now.
3 successes.
Okay.
6s.
That's good.
No ones.
No ones.
What does that house roll come with?
Hopefully right
Every
now.
time?
Wait, what was that number?
Then we all died and new characters had to be
Yay!
Yeah, that's a good description. The section on crashes. Crashes should be a rare and beautiful thing in Shadowrun combat. Yeah, I like that.
Unless you're us and you immediately crash the car.
right.
Oh no, that's too good of a roll to crash right away. I was just
Okay,
double
good.
checking the crash rules. So
For future reference.
Yeah.
Hopefully, please.
Yeah. So you get your 3 successes. You plow over this thing, and the entire line, like under that silver thread, explodes. Right, and you're going so fast, it like lifts up the back of the Humvee, and so you're like scraping the front bumper on the concrete for several feet. Like we're gonna have to do this in slow-mo because there's a lot going
Fast
on.
and Furious this.
Yeah. So for you two, I need you to make a composure test,
Okay.
which composure 4. Yeah, so you're going to need 4 hits on your composure to not take penalties on whatever it is you try to do next. And I don't remember what we roll for composure, so I'm looking that up too.
Okay, I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, sorry
Let's
sorry
find
about
out.
it, but also
Yeah.
there was a thing in the road. Just go real fast over it.
I'm
That's-
back here
Yeah,
describing
I'm
astral
fine with that.
trees, and then all of a sudden, boom!
You're just
I don't
like,
know.
Gremlin!
Yeah.
There's
been in
nothing
a
for
car with you
composure. I don't
before.
know. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I don't know. Roll. Let's roll willpower plus.
Reaction?
No.
No? Willpower?
Let's
plus-
just do willpower rolls. That's fun.
Okay. 6 dice. Three successes.
Okay, so you're going to be at a -1 for whatever comes next.
Okay.
All right, and
Me
can you-
too?
yeah, roll your willpower.
Just straight willpower?
Yeah. Hey, 4's pretty good. You can still get 4 successes.
I have to get 4?
Yeah. You can do
Well,
it.
it's
I
you're
believe
going to
in you.
have minuses of 4 minus your successes here. Oh, that almost
thought it
was.
was.
Yeah.
That's 3.
Oh.
Okay, so you're also at just -1 for whatever happens
Okay.
next.
Okay.
So Mac, your previous roll was to make sure we didn't crash. So we officially don't crash.
Cool.
The Humvee lifts up. I think Rooster would have insisted that everyone's strapped into their seats, so you probably don't go flying out of your chairs. But boom, yeah, the back of the Humvee lifts. This is also a really heavy vehicle, and this is a kind of explosion that you use to like blow up biker gangs, right?
Sure.
So the vehicle lifts up, slams back down, skids to the side, sideswipes the building. You come to a stop. The engine's still running. We could figure out what happens next.
Building?
No. You're like halfway home.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was like, are we still there?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. You're like halfway between, right?
Okay,
What is the building?
It was just an empty. It's like those empty storefronts in Fallout. Where there's just
Yep.
like shelves of something. I don't know what was in there before, but this is like just a burnt out, empty shell
It's a
of a
rubber
building.
chicken, so it just goes all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So you skid to a stop, sideswipe the front of this building off, whatever glass was left in there is gone. The vehicle pops up a bunch of like status of like, it thinks you want to know that all the tires are okay, and that the immediate sensors are pulling up a bunch of movement behind the truck, which behind the truck is basically in the building because you like sideswiped and your ass is kind of like in the building a little bit. Does that make sense? So there's a bunch of like humanoid-sized movement behind the truck.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
And the truck just assumed you wanted to know that.
I did.
What? And the rooster is like, what the hell is going on? And he like slaps the thing on the wall that like flips the machine gun out.
I was just about to suggest he do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know what's going on yet. He's just like, probably machine gun. And I think that's his like surprise round action is to deploy that. He can operate it from his position. You can also like target out the front window. You just can't target anything behind you because you can't. It can shoot behind you. You just can't see behind you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, do I get a chance to do something, or am I kind of stuck in the
let's
building?
roll initiative.
Okay.
So you would normally roll you have wired reflexes, right?
Yep.
So we would have your reaction score +2 plus 2d6. And in this case, folks, we're going to roll the d6s and add them together if you have bonus d6s. I think both of you are just rolling 1, though, right? Do you have your initiative score written down?
10 plus 1 d6.
Yeah.
9 plus 1 d6.
Yeah, because you're not in astral space and you're not in the matrix, so you just use your regular mundane. Your mundane is the +2 d6.
Okay.
So this is the one time where you add up the d6s instead of counting individual
Okay.
successes.
So I roll 2d6.
Yes, and both of you will roll 1 and then add your initiative value. Wow, that is terrible. Fortunately, there's no glitch with initiative.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because most of the time we're rolling 1 die. So, okay,
So
so
it's nothing?
2 plus your initiative.
Oh, we are using.
Yeah.
I'm not going to roll either of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cursed.
Shun the non-believers.
Been doing good with my other rolls.
That's true.
We have 100 dice to choose from.
I know. Just use the same
4.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got 13. Ah! I got 13.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, is 13 the highest roll?
I don't know what my initiative is, so
It's probably like,
Is yours 10 plus?
I don't know.
something?
9
Oh, it's
plus.
9 plus.
Yeah.
it would be, what is it factored from? Reaction plus intuition, I think?
didn't
Can I
write
see your
that
sheet
part
real quick?
down.
I can.
I mean, that's 9. Yeah, that,
Yes.
it adds up.
Okay. It's reaction plus intuition. Yours is probably 8-ish,
okay,
so you'll go on 10.
sure.
Okay. So 13 is Echo.
Yeah.
What's your total? 12 is Bones, and 10 is Gremlin.
By the way, I did my whole thing wrong.
Oh
I
yeah.
was rules checking everything we did, but it's whatever. We'll
Oh, for the
talk about
wrapper
it
thing?
later. Yeah.
Yeah. It probably doesn't work in real space, but I liked what you were doing. So. Oh wow. Rooster just rolled an 11
Oh.
plus his reaction score.
Wow.
Ooh.
So,
So he probably
He probably
like
goes
a
first.
21.
which makes sense. He's Rooster.
It's just funny that he rolled so well. He doesn't even have like his maximum wired reflexes on, and like,
Jeez.
yeah, he's just like
He's just
cooling
a big
it right now.
cultural.
Yeah, it's so funny. Lucky roll like that.
Shadowrun bet.
But his first reaction is he like failed the surprise round and was only able to deploy the machine gun. So that was his action on 21.
So what did we encounter? What is-
Don't know yet. We don't have information. It like blew up, lifted the back of the truck. You swiped into a building, and the truck is telling you there's a bunch of movement behind you, but you don't have windows out the back. So,
Okay.
yeah. Echo.
We don't have windows at the back, so
No.
we can't see out there.
No, we have screens, and you could maybe try to like pull that up, but you can't cast a spell through a computer screen.
Right. Okay. That is what I needed to know. Range T. Yeah. Okay. Then I am going to use Combat Sense spell to subconsciously analyze combat and other dangerous situations.
Okay, great. What force do you want to cast that at?
Good question.
So if you cast it at 6 or lower, it'll be stun drain. If you cast it as higher than 6, it'll be physical drain.
Okay.
But either way, you'll do your drain roll.
Right.
And you might resist all of the drain, whether it's physical or stun. But,
okay.
I think drain is willpower plus magic.
I wrote it down somewhere.
Oh, good.
Pretty sure. Resist drain. Yeah, logic plus will.
Oh, logic plus willpower. Okay, great.
Which is the same for me.
Okay.
Okay. So the advantage of casting a higher force spell is I can get more successes.
Yeah, the force of the spell is your limit on hits.
Okay.
So, I mean, 6 is pretty good. The idea of getting 6 hits on it is pretty wild. Even rolling 12 dice is,
Yeah. So let's try a force 5.
Okay.
Just for funsies. Okay, so I roll my magic plus
The force of the spell.
Force
No, plus spell casting. Magic plus spell casting.
plus spellcasting.
Yeah, the force is the limit.
Okay.
So magic is 6, your spell casting is 5, I think. It's your there's a whole group of skills that went under.
I'm looking for that. Where does that go?
Sorcery?
Sorcery. There's conjuring written down. Oh, I think we broke those out.
Oh, you separated them into like spellcasting and counterspelling, maybe?
Spellcasting and counterspell, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. I didn't write spellcasting down for some reason. Weirdo. Yeah, spellcasting is 5, and my magic is 6.
So 11.
11. Okay. 5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7, 8.
11, not 12.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Nice. 4.
All right.
4
So
successes.
you get to use all of those hits.
Yay.
And what does combat sense do for hits?
Let's see. Every hit on the spellcasting test adds 1 die for reaction on surprise tests and also to rolls made when defending against ranged and melee attacks, as long as the spell remains in effect.
Great. Okay, so the surprise round is passed.
Yeah.
But you will have 4 defense dice.
Okay.
Maybe just set those aside somewhere and remember that you've got that. But what is the drain code for combat sense?
F.
Just the force.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to roll your willpower plus logic, and every hit will reduce the drain by 1.
Okay, willpower plus logic. 10. Okay.
Do you know what a simple versus a complex action is?
Yeah. So a complex action is like casting a spell or like doing something in the Matrix, usually firing a fully automatic weapon. Wow, you just shed all of the drain from a Force 5 spell.
Great! Yay!
I feel like this is only going to encourage you.
Good job, Echo. Do more magic.
Yep.
Yeah!
Okay, yeah,
those
you
spells.
shed all of the drain. It was only going to be stun damage anyway, but yeah, you shed it all. You have 4 dice. That's what it is. So as you're sustaining a spell, you're -1 to all of your dice rolls. And if you want to sustain more spells, it's just -1 for every spell that you're sustaining. But you can hold this up until you get knocked out, or you drop it. It's a free action to drop the spell if you want to get rid of that -1. But yeah, your defenses are cranked up, and that's a complex action to cast a spell like that. So that's pretty much your action.
Okay, that's fine.
That's a good idea to protect yourself like that. So on 12 is Bones.
So what's the difference between a simple action, a complex action, and a variable action?
You get 2 simple actions, and you get 1 complex action. And variable action is not... I mean, it must depend on what you're doing with it.
Okay.
Like, sometimes it's a simple action, and sometimes it's a complex action. And then you also have a free action, but that's usually like yell at someone or whatever. It's pretty similar to a D&D free action.
So we can't see. What did you do? I'm sorry. I was like.
She cast a spell that is not a very physically obvious spell, so you just saw her do some. She did some shit. You watched her do it, right? It's complicated, but the spell didn't have an obvious effect, and the Humvee is telling you there are people moving around behind the truck, but there are no windows in the back of the truck, right? There's just like scanners and cameras and stuff like that. So
I want to look at my, well, I guess my deck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's already jacked in my head, right?
Yeah, I assumed you were plugged into everything.
Something.
Yeah.
So in the Matrix, can I see? Well, do I have to be in VR to see outside to see the space, or can I see it already?
No,
in AR?
you can pull up the AR windows of like, yeah, it would just be overlaid with what you're looking at.
So, in my brain here, what am I seeing as far as like the icons that are there?
So, well, you have access to the cameras, right? The truck has like scanners and things on the back of it, or sensors, I mean. So you're actually seeing like a live feed in the back of the truck, and you see it's a gang with identifiable like colors and markings. We would have to do like a gang ID roll for you to, because it's not like the Burning Rubber or a gang that you deal with every day. You recognize them as like, this is a gang, I don't remember what their name is, like in this split second. So if you wanted to do the complex action of like look intently or whatever it's called, is like study the situation, or so whatever it's called, there's a complex action where you can just like glean a bunch of information.
Is it Matrix perception?
No, not in this case. It would just be, we would roll like gang ID as a knowledge skill.
That's a complex action?
Yeah, to sort of like figure out where you know these guys from. But the thing that I'll tell you for free is that they have a PAN, a personal area network. So like the 8 of these people there's like a network between them, and they're relatively high tech. Like the Burning Rubber gang have comm links, but they don't have like an active mesh network with everyone in the gang. These 8 people who are sort of coming up behind the truck have some sort of tech web connecting the 8 of them.
Okay.
So you could try to hack into that and do something to it. You could try to, track where they came from, or you could operate the machine gun on the top of the truck.
And they look hostile towards us, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So does it take an action for me to like go into VR?
No, that's
free?
yeah.
Okay. Can I go into Cold Sim VR and
So roll an extra die, because I need to add that to your initiative.
Oh, in Cold Sim, it's 7 plus 3d6.
Oh, 3d6. Okay, so
but my regular initiative is 10 plus 1d6, and then Cold Sim is 7 plus 3d6.
Okay, so I'll subtract 3 and add 2d6.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, but that doesn't matter.
Subtract 3, add 2.
Yeah. So we'll put you at 11. Your initiative's actually lower.
Okay.
But that's fine. You're still like taking your action right now, but next round you'll be on 11.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm slow. I'm trying to understand.
That's fine. We all are. I'm trying to remember all this stuff too.
Okay. So, hypothetically, I want to try to hack on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sleaze my way onto whatever is their main device.
Yeah.
It says it's hacking plus logic, and then in brackets it says sleaze. So what does that mean?
Sleaze is your limit, like what we did before.
So hacking plus logic, sleaze is the limit.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So
taking it to the limit.
Do that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a complex action. So hacking is...
Yeah, that's fine. I think going into VR it should be a free action if it's not. So plus you were already plugged in. You were just like talking and,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's not like you're coming out of a dead sleep or something.
And in Cold Sim,
in Cold Sim,
right?
you're...
Because then my body goes limp.
Yes.
Okay.
But you're strapped into your chair.
Okay. Sure. So right now we'll say it's a free action because we don't run over, whatever. Okay, so that's 3 successes and 1.
Okay, great. So what does that say for successes on the ability?
It says when targeting an icon, you put 1 mark on it, up to a maximum of 3 marks per.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember how marks work at all, so that's fine. That's
okay, so yeah. So
3 successes should be very good.
What I was trying to do is when I get a mark on their device, it means I get like access to it.
Yeah.
Like only our owners have marks. So basically, what happens in like role playing, my marks are little skull and bones, like little pirate sign kind of. And so marks are these invisible things that nobody can see, and only like every owner of a device has a mark on their thing, but they're invisible. So you can only see it if you make like kind of like an investigative roll. If you're like taking a look at it,
okay.
And if you pass it, you can see all the marks that are on there.
Okay.
So when somebody like puts a mark on your device, like they won't see it automatically unless they like check to see if they have marks.
But the marks give you access to the device.
So now I have access to their main device, basically.
Okay. So, what you're dealing with is they don't have a main device. They have a mesh, but that is so that combination of like relatively shitty comm links has created a more powerful device. Like they've linked them all together to
so
be.
I guess it would be on one of their devices.
Well, you're on all of them, basically. They are one device. These 8 comm links working together, and on that shared mesh is an agent program that is like an automated process of some kind that you haven't really run into before, and it's like, just optimizing their comm links and sort of just like sitting behind the scenes doing the shit that an automated process is supposed to do, but it does the equivalent of like eyes wide and sort of like backs away from you as you're like this matrix recreation of you're basically standing on this web, right? And this spider that's there is backing up like like it doesn't know what to do with these skull and crossbones that are popping up. So it's definitely a program. It's not another hacker that you're looking at right now. And I think your perception drops away from the fact that these are 8 people moving around in real world. You just see this web that's sort of like stretching and flexing, and the spider is like backing away from you as you have stepped onto the web.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's on 11, technically. Oh, whoops, I moved Echo, not Bones. Echo's on 13.
Yeah.
Bones moved to 11.
Good number.
Gremlin on 10.
Okay, so remind me again, which area of the vehicle is in the building? The front?
The back right butt cheek of the Humvee.
And we're seeing movement behind us. Does it look like it's coming from inside the building or exterior?
Yeah, they were inside the building.
They were inside the building. Okay, the files are in the computer.
Yes.
Not
for long with Bones
There's
on
no
it.
like skylight or anything on this car, is there?
No. The whole back, of the truck is just solid for integrity's sake. But there are sensors and cameras, and you can view what's behind the truck. You just can't look out a window or lean out the window.
But there's windows like at the front?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You have windshield, and the driver's side you could like roll that. I don't know why I did a cranking motion.
I know. I was like,
it's a power window on both the passenger and the driver's side.
Because I can't run these guys over by backing up because I'm in the building.
You could try. The building is already broken, and this Humvee is pretty badass apparently, since it just took an explosion to the underbelly and is fine.
Okay, well let me ask you. I have 2 ideas, and I'm trying to figure out which makes the most sense. One is just back the fuck up and try and run over some dudes.
Yeah.
The other is, since I can see where they are in the sensors, and I imagine I have at least one of my guns on me, would be to roll to like look on the sensors while they're doing their stuff, and I'm trying to figure out like where these guys are so that I can like lean out the window and like actually shoot at them.
If you're not trying to drive forward too, you could pull up the machine gun sensors and aim behind you.
Okay.
It's just if you're driving, it would be really hard to drive and aim the gun behind.
I imagine I'm stopped at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I could try to speed
That's what I
off
thought
with
too.
all of us going on, but also a bunch of
Yeah, it's up to you. You could either gun it and run off. You could reverse real hard. You could like pull up the AR screen of like turning the turret to shoot behind you.
I don't think I'm familiar enough with the car to like want to shoot the turret.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe I'm going to try and speed off.
Okay.
Because there's no reason for me to try and like it's just a gang as far as we
Yeah.
can tell. It's just like dudes out in this expanse that are assholes and we hate them.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully this car like has a lot of exhaust when you take off and like makes them go.
Well, it's probably electric, but that's fine.
But I like to imagine that
Yes.
it isn't. I have a listing. That's the only thing I have with me.
All right, so it would be reaction plus your pilot ground vehicle, which we don't know what it is, but
I was rolling like 8.
right. But I'm going to give you -2 because you're kind of in all this rubble,
Okay.
and so the like getting a good, gunning it is going to be a little bit tricky. So,
So 6.
yeah.
All right.
Ooh,
2 successes.
nice, and 2 1s.
And 2 1s.
One more 1 would have been a glitch.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
I like it. The truck, the back wheels spin for a second, and then it has like that all-wheel drive intelligent wheels that are like, oh, make this wheel go and grab and move, and it takes off like a tractor. Gets itself back in the street, and you're gunning it. So you're immediately going to get a bunch of distance. And we have time for you two to do something extra. Also, because at this point, the way initiative works is, since everyone's done that, driving cars complex action, so that's your whole turn. Everyone who can subtract 10 from their initiative does so. Mm-hmm. So the rooster, well, everyone but Gremlin.
Did the rooster take an action? Sorry.
Yeah, he did a surprise round to like activate the machine gun.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
Because he didn't succeed at his surprise resist. So that was the only thing he could do. Mm-hmm. But he can subtract 10. Echo and Bones can subtract 10. So Rooster would go on 11. Echo would go on 3. And Bones would go on 1.
Okay.
Of the new initiative pass.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rooster is more actively engaged in the targeting system of the machine gun, but it looks like he is holding his action, right? Like he could, you could tell, like there's all these like the like crosshairs of all the targets, and he's not firing.
Okay.
So probably because it's not a big threat. Like he seems pretty calm now that, like, okay, we didn't blow up, we're fine. But he's holding his action. So
okay.
Probably if they did something serious, like he would start shooting at them. But that takes us to turn 3, which is Echo.
Is there a window next to me?
If you get to the passenger seat, yeah.
Yeah, okay. If I stick my head out the window, can I see the gang?
Yeah.
Receding behind us in the distance?
Yeah. Well, they're not in the distance yet. I mean, you
Okay.
guys just like dunk out into the street, and it's that split second, right?
Okay. I would like to cast Poltergeist in the building.
Okay. How does that work? Is that the thing that just makes debris?
It picks up any debris.
There's
in
a
the
lot
area,
of debris, yeah.
and whirls it around and hits people with it.
Yeah, there is a
Wonder.
lot of debris.
Just generally fuck up their day.
Okay. What force do you want to cast to that?
Let's go with 5 again.
Okay, that worked well last time.
Yeah.
Let's cast with your magic plus spellcasting.
Okay. I have a -1, I think, because I'm sustaining that
Yes.
defense spell. Okay, so that is I'm gonna roll 10 instead of 11, right?
And your bad karma is raising its ugly head.
Oh no. Okay.
In this roll, ones will subtract successes.
Oh god. Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Sort of White Wolf style.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got 0 1,
Jesus Christ.
and I got 5 successes.
Okay.
Damn.
For folks listening who missed episode 0, when people want to raise an ability or spend karma, and it would take them to like -1, -2 karma, I'm usually fine with that, but then they have bad karma, they'll have bad luck, and which will just crop up when I feel like it as a GM. So until they earn karma to be out of the red.
Yeah, I have currently -1 karma.
Yes.
So it's just a teensy bit of bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
And
so
it didn't affect you.
nope, I got 5 successes.
Yeah. You
Okay.
felt a bit of doubt in the pit of your stomach, and then that faded away.
Nope. Fuck these guys.
Yep, in particular.
Okay, so now I resist drain, which is logic plus will. I roll 10. My the drain rating on poltergeist is force -2.
Oh, -2.
-2.
I thought it was is it a physical spell?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Usually physical spells have higher drain.
Yeah, this
So
one's
you're only
-2.
resisting 3 drain.
Yeah. So I rolled 10. Again. We'll keep that. That's a 5.
Oh,
3.
okay. But I'm going to do -1
Okay.
because of the 1 that you rolled. Was that 1 yours?
Oh yeah, that one is.
Yeah, okay,
So
so
I
we're-
get 1 drain.
Yeah.
Okay. So that just is
1 stun. No effect. There's no like minus for 1 stun damage.
Okay.
And stun damage will just heal up. It's like you have a minor headache,
Okay.
right? It's
Yeah.
nothing.
So, Poltergeist picks up all small objects up to 1 kilogram in mass within the spell's area and whirls them around in random patterns. It creates the equivalent visibility penalty of light fog and inflicts 2 boxes of stun damage to anyone in the area each combat turn, whacking them with flying debris. It may do more damage in cluttered environments or inflict physical damage if the game master feels the debris is sufficiently dangerous, like broken glass or nails.
I think this is mostly like concrete and, like dangerous, but not super dangerous.
Yeah. This part's funny. If there's no debris lying around, the spell doesn't do much more than make a spooky noise.
That's fun too, though. Yeah. So this whirlwind of just like debris springs up. It sends this gang members scattered, like diving for cover. Nobody is. You also saw, like, as you leaned out the window, somebody was like, they pulled up this like big barreled. It's basically like a pistol grenade launcher, and it looked like they were gonna do, like, as soon as they saw you pop out, they're like, aha, and then suddenly Susan, right? Like, they are very distracted and getting beat up by random bullshit. Candace. Sorry, Bones. In the Matrix,
Okay.
when
so,
hang on,
yeah.
when this all starts up, the spider who was backing away from you.
So is the spider what I have marked?
No.
Sorry, it said marks a target. So
Yeah.
it's a device. So
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
target that I got.
So the target is their collected comlinks. They're operating as like one computer. So that is marked.
So does that mean I have access to all of them? Or,
Yeah,
like,
because
that's
it's
marked?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just like wirelessly cooperating as one device. And the thing that they have that is kind of their advantage is they have this semi-AI agent running on their collected system. But that spider type thing that is looking at you like takes another step back and changes into a more like humanoid form in the Matrix, right? but still has like 4 spider legs and 4 spider arms, right? Is sort of like standing up in a slightly more humanoid form, has all these like red eyes against black carapace, and it it speaks to you. And it says, and you can feel yourself getting further away because your matrix signal is, like the truck is moving away. Yeah. And so you're not physically moving away from the spider, but the signal is starting to stretch. And this AI agent says, "Take me with you." Please.
Okay. Well, the spider, of course, sees this skeleton, right? I don't look like me. I just look like this full skeleton. I'm gonna... Okay. I'm like, this is not D&D. Is there a way to, like... Is there something like intuition in this game? Like, to check
you have an intuition score.
I do? Okay.
Yeah. And there's a skill that would be associated with that, but I don't think you have that skill. Let me pull up the skill list here.
It's not what I was expecting.
Is this spider person?
No, it's a program. It's a smart frame program. It's not a fully sentient or sapient AI, like fully intelligent robot sort of thing. But it is a smart program that is pseudo, it's about as smart as a dog, right? So in the sense that a dog thinks of itself as a person, it's probably on par with that.
It's like a living creature?
Not really, no. It's just the best analogy I can draw is it's like a fairly smart, it's smart, a little bit self-aware, like computer program that these guys definitely don't know what they have trapped on their mesh network. Like, they think they have some cool little program running, but it's way more than they realize.
Okay.
So, to take it with you, you would have to give it access to your, matrix, your your deck memory, right? Like, it would have to move into your deck and live there. So, there's some risk there. You could try to quarantine it.
Is there a way to scan him as a program, scan this spider and check it out for
Yep.
What it is and what its intent is, and
yeah,
if it's a virus or whatever.
Yeah, remember that there was one of the programs that was search a database thing. I don't remember what that program was called, but that's kind of what you're trying to do. I don't remember what the program was called. But also, if you wanted to do intuition plus perception, you could try to interpret it as a person and see is this thing tricking me? Do I think it's tricking me? Or we could run a program to try and scan it. Is it going to act like a virus if I put it in my deck?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Can I have your matrix chapter? Because mine's going to fall apart if I... Oh, no, here it is.
Yeah.
It still might.
You want, matrix perception?
It's it's in the programs. Oh, wait, what's matrix perception? Let's do that. Yeah. Computer plus intuition.
I'm going to read this all more in depth by the next episode.
Yeah. It's computer plus intuition. Your limit is data processing.
Okay.
So whatever your data proc is your limit. But otherwise, computer plus intuition.
Sure. It's 10.
That's good. There was a skill for exactly what I wanted to do, which is a Shadowrun in a nutshell. Oh, I just had the strongest deja vu. That's so weird.
Oh, God.
The Matrix has you.
Oh my god.
Oh no!
Just 2 ones. It's just
But no
no
successes.
Just 2 ones. Is that a critical glitch?
Um,
What is that?
This is one of those times where you'd probably want to use an edge to re-roll the failed dice. But understand, spending edge, like, it's not super easy. I have to double check the edge rules, which I'm probably still not using it right.
I
But
think it was you after like what something said like a well-balanced meal and a good night's rest.
Yeah, like
you
it's
can replenish.
yeah.
your
After a
lost
long
edge.
rest.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
But you can only get back what you lost or something.
yeah. Yeah, your
edge does what?
it's your luck stat basically. It's going to let you re-roll the failed dice. I
Which
think.
is all of them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how Edge works, but that's what it's going to do right now.
I'll use that.
It's funny. I read so much trying to review.
There's still
and
so much.
It's just
That
there's
book is
so much in
huge.
this game. Hold on, I printed out some cheat sheets. We'll see if it's in there. But I'm pretty sure you should be able to use Edge for that. I only have 4 pages of cheat sheets here. Hang on. This is solid
like.
live stream right now.
It's like these are the rules.
Yeah.
Please
Just
stand
do
by.
this. Yeah. No, nothing about Edge here. Cool. It's fine.
This is our homebrew Shadowrun.
If you want to spend an Edge, I'm gonna let you re-roll the failed dice this time, and then we'll find out if that's actually how Edge works.
Okay, so yeah, I'll use my edge. Do I erase it?
You just
I
like
see.
mark that you
Current
used
edge.
it, and you can use it that many times.
2 slots.
I think one way it's meant to work is like if your edge attribute is 2, you can add 2 dice 2 times,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like if your edge is 5, you could add 5 dice 5 times, which I think is how it's supposed to work. But right now, I just want to give you the chance to re-roll your dice because
Because, damn.
also re-rolling the dice gives you a chance for a hard glitch. So, you know.
Isn't that what I got?
No, not really. You didn't get half one, so it's not supposed to glitch.
Oh, now I got the exact opposite. Oh, no, I have 1 1. But 2 successes
And 2 ones.
2 ones. But
Yep.
you're still subtract, so it's okay.
Yeah, only she has the bad luck that subtract from the hits. So, you get to keep both of those because what's your data proc on your deck?
3.
Yeah, so you could have had 3 hits. And what does Matrix Perception say? Or can I scan that real quick? Yeah, let's.
It says a lot.
I think I read like the first half of that whole
Yeah.
pamphlet, and I was like, cool, nothing of what I'm using. Well, it was good for like getting me into the mindset of the Matrix, but not the actual mechanics.
Yeah.
So
So here's what happens. You are scanning this thing. It's sort of like when you're going to download a file and Norton's like, hang on, let me scan that real quick. And in this case, the smart frame would, so when you go to read something, whatever you're reading would roll logic plus sleaze to not be read.
Oh yeah.
But this thing just drops its defenses and says like, I don't want to stay here.
Take me.
Please, like, yeah. So it's this like humanoid spider. It has kind of a feminine voice when it's speaking to you.
Okay.
So we'll use she when we talk about her. And she just doesn't. She just like chooses to autofail the logic plus sleaze. Okay. Which you can do any roll. You can always choose to fail.
Okay.
Which sometimes that is actually like a thing you want to do.
Yeah. That's the thing.
And you can see that this spider was a cobbled together, like originally it was just a really well written search program that one of these nerds or a few of them worked together and this like nerdy computer gang, whatever that like they probably cobbled this together, but then it got complicated enough and had enough stuff added to it, and then the combined processing power of these comlinks is still not as powerful as your deck, but like gave it a chance to like become a fairly, functional little program, like the kind of thing you would develop. But not that they're like, these guys don't get credit for this thing. It like it made itself more complicated to like like a heuristics program of like, oh, to get faster at my job, I should change XYZ, and now I'm better at my job. So what it is a very sophisticated search algorithm that is not a person, right? It's not like a fully like emotional AI, intelligent being, but it is a fairly sophisticated piece of software, and it does not contain like Trojan horse software, virus software. And it is something you could use as a search algorithm. So that's what your matrix perception gives you.
Can I free action let it jump on
Mm-hmm.
my device?
Yep.
Okay. I'll be like, okay, hop on. We're moving fast.
Okay, great. So in the Matrix, we get this image of the like, yay, and like all 8 like like jumps on your back, like okay, good, and then
I'm carrying the spider.
yeah,
Awesome.
Okay.
Spider.
yeah, because it's in
Look what I brought.
yeah, it's in active memory, so it's
Yeah.
like active. Like I don't know what to
This
do.
Spider backpack now.
Yeah.
Can I keep him?
Yeah.
It's something nobody else sees. You're just like in your deck, right? Like.
Whoa. Yeah. I guess if they're in. Yeah,
Also, it's worth noting that the Matrix connection you have in the truck is not as good as what you got in the basement, but it's still better than the like home Matrix connection you have.
yeah, it's still way better.
Yeah, it's a pretty high quality Matrix connection, and as it leaves, this like nerd gang's mesh network starts to fall apart. Like this thing was maintaining their their
Okay.
area network, but
Wow.
the truck speeds off. You head off into the Barrens. Your spell eventually winds down. Did you roll for drain?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I
Oh yeah, you
resisted
took
all of
one.
it. Oh,
no,
I
you took one.
one,
Yes,
yeah.
because of your bad luck.
Yeah.
So that guy who had picked up the like pistol grip grenade, it looked like kind of a homemade grenade launcher sort of thing, was going to shoot it at you. Things started flying around, and it thunk into the floor, and this just like green gas, it was like, and like half of them have fallen over before the rest of them
Yay.
managed to run away. So who knows if they're like dead or knocked out or what, but not your problem.
Not my problem.
You have a new backpack,
Yeah.
and
Great.
you have to drive around to the park and get into the the subway
the
thing.
Batcave.
Yeah. And the rooster makes you like do a couple laps around the park because he's scanning to make sure no one's going to watch you drive in there, and then drunk, and you go, and that's probably a good place to wrap up for tonight.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna like, check back into AR
mhm.
and be like, guys, I have this cool new spider backpack, and then they're like, what?
Do what
See you
now?
next week, or next 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Should I wait to roll next time to learn shapeshift, or
Yeah, because
Shape change?
that'll be like weeks,
Okay.
several weeks of training or days at least. I don't
Cool.
remember. I have to look up the learning thing.
Yeah.
I have to look up smart frames.
Yeah, I gotta look up all these things.
Yeah.
Echo's definitely gonna try and practice when she gets back,
Okay.
but
Good.
because she did not learn any lessons about not casting too much magic on this trip.
Yep. You are only encouraged to
She's like,
continue
I'm
your
good
habits.
at this. Yeah.
I like it. When you go back, the rooster asks you to not tell Jane that he brought you out on this, and his explanation includes like she understands what Rooster is, right? That he's a mercenary, but he's retired, and he doesn't want her to be annoyed that he took you out. So that's part of his dynamic with her, I guess, is
Don't ask, don't tell.
yeah, exactly. So, and you're adults, so he, if you tell her, he's not going to like hunt you down, but he'd be pretty annoyed. So,
We might not get to go on the next field trip,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sad panda then.
right?
And he's he's going to be like down in the basement, crunching the what do you call it? Like scrubbing back through his video footage of like trying to look at all the scans of the building and get what he can out of that. He would love you to kind of meditate on your observations, and if you think of anything that occurred to you.
Yeah, I mean, Echo's, I think she's going to try and do some research on, like, what it means, what she saw.
Yeah.
Like, about the building and the trees and stuff. So she might actually ask Bones for help, like, searching the Matrix for information, because she doesn't really want to do that.
If only you had, like, a sophisticated search algorithm to assist with something like that.
New backpack I got. I can't really show you unless you come into it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in there.
I mean, you could hold up a screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have a comm link, yeah?
Yeah.
You could probably see it on at least AR, no? Or is can you see that program?
Yeah, I mean, you have glasses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could pull up AR screens.
So you see my skeleton persona wearing this, like, cool new black spider backpack.
That is
But,
cool.
like, looking over your shoulder,
yeah,
like,
she's like...
all the eyes, like...
Yeah.
Echo, like,
spider
waves
backpack.
at it, not realizing that doesn't do anything. Just like,
Yeah, you can see us, so we can see you.
I want to imagine that Gremlin knows what's going on and just like slowly like puts Echo's hand down.
Yeah, totally.
just can't see you.
It's not really there.
I like it. So, before we go, let's revisit that closing move that we did of Stars and Wishes.
Okay.
So, a quick reminder about that. Wishes can be aimed at something specifically, like, I don't mind if it's about GMing. Wishes being like, let's have more of this, or maybe this could go differently, or even it could be a kind of a soft, like, maybe we don't have to have that every time, like some, like, I'm fine with that sort of thing on a wish, but let's not direct that at other players, right? So not that you would, but that's just kind of the general concept of Stars and Wishes. Is like, wishes we could talk about, like, something that would make the game better for you, but not like, I wish Samantha didn't have red hair. Like,
Can't do anything about that. Sorry about it.
Yeah, like, we don't need that. Like, that's not nice.
Rude.
If we want, we could go around and let's do all the wishes, and then come back and do stars. And stars can be directed at your fellow players. Like, it was awesome when Samantha did the poltergeist on everybody. I don't know why I'm picking on you now, but
Stars is what again?
stars is something you thought was awesome.
Oh, okay.
That somebody did something really cool, or something blew your mind, or you liked when that happened. And you could say, like, I don't have any this time. Like, that's fine too.
Stars is a good way to end.
Yeah.
Ending on good notes.
Yeah. So we'll do
I like it.
wishes. I'll start. My wish is that I'm gonna know the rules better next time. So that's my homework assignment, is to brush up on how Edge works. I'm going to specifically make a note. Wish for Edge. I'm going to try to do a hard refresh on one or two topics every week, and then we'll be up to speed soon. Any other wishes?
That was also my wish, that I wish I would have known the rules a little better before I started in here, because I was like, I'll get to it, and then I didn't, and now I was like, oh, failed.
Well, that's all right. Not a hard fail, really.
Yeah.
Like,
just, I'm such a rules person, so it bothers me that I'm like,
Shadowrun
I'm not
can be
doing
there.
this right.
Shadowrun
So
can
I'm
be
like,
your
oh my
friend if you
God.
like that.
Yeah, I'm such a rules person, so it bothers me that I didn't come in knowing the rules, and I'm beating myself up about it. So I'm like, that's not the way that move works. I did that wrong.
Don't
but
be too hard on yourself. We'll wing it sometimes
also
anyway.
Just be let's just have fun. And my brain's like, no.
Even when I do know all the rules, Pat, I will often smooth something out to make it a little easier.
I have to work on that.
Any other wishes? I know we got to get out of here, but
Nope, just that next time I have my character sheet.
Wish for character sheet. That's a valid wish. Yeah.
I wish to cast more magic, because that was fun.
Okay. Cool. Why don't you start with stars?
I'm gonna say my star was Gremlin just gunning it over the probably gonna explode thing.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
I did. That's my twin.
I like it. That's good. Do you have something in mind?
A live spider backpack. I was like, what?
yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Search program. It's on my cool.
You made a friend.
Yeah.
Spider friends.
Yeah, that's cool.
Poltergeists.
Yeah.
That was rad.
Yeah.
And not wholly unexpected.
Yeah, when you took that spell, I was like, I feel like I should start a timer for how long it takes for Samantha to use this.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Not very long.
How much of this episode were you thinking, like, how can I use this spell?
Yeah.
As soon as you said it was a building that we had crashed into and there
Oh.
were people in it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I'm casting Poltergeist.
Yeah,
I was going to cast it immediately, but there were no windows to see out of.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mac, did you... Anything jump out at you?
She said poltergeist.
Oh, Poltergeist
Yeah.
was your
I
star.
like
Oh,
I
yeah,
said
okay.
a thing.
Sorry. My star is kind of like a group star because the three of you were doing a really good job of, like, getting everybody in the spotlight. And, like, normally it's kind of my job to make sure everyone's getting some spotlight time, but each of you were all, like, asking cool questions of each other, which was cool for me as the GM to be like, oh, cool, everyone's, like, telling the story together, which is more fun than me having to, like, slowly roll out every little detail. So it was fun to see the relationships kind of go from being all the backstory stuff that we've told each other into, the on-screen kind of interactions that you three have with each other. So that's really fun for me. Yeah, Stars and Wishes is a good system. I like that. Okay, well, I think that's it for us tonight. That's episode 1 of Shadowrun on Happy Jacks. I almost said Star Trek for some reason. It's definitely not that.
No, we already did that game.
We're a long ways from Star Trek. We will continue in 2 weeks, hopefully with our full cast. Fingers crossed that Jay is back and everyone's available.
Yeah.
Does anyone know that date off the top of their head? It's
Nope.
Today's the 19th, so it would be August 34th.
Yeah.
33rd, yeah.
Although people should also tune in next week. They should be here every Monday.
Oh, yeah, all Mondays.
All Mondays
It's
are good Mondays.
Mac Attack Mondays.
Yeah, because every other Monday from this, I am running a game of City of Mists called Seventh Veil, where everybody is a mythos of a fairy tale character, and it is a clue-based detective noir game set in the 1940s, and some shit is going down.
Woohoo!
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Is it a PBTA or what is the system?
City of Mist is sort of.
It's a PBTA-esque game.
Yeah.
It's very different in a lot of ways.
Yeah. They definitely spun up some really cool, like, customizations. And,
Yeah.
Guest star on your Monday one night. And just be like,
yeah.
Yeah, and also, if I'm plugging things as I am right now, check out the podcast 12-Sided Stories, which I'm also a part of.
Yes.
We just wrapped season 2 of Otherworld London, which was our Cthulhu 1890 game. But gearing up right now, I think the first episode may have dropped or is about to drop. We did a short series of Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Nice.
Which was
pretty
that was a
cool.
lot of fun.
Awesome.
So check it out.
The date is September 2nd.
I believe I said August 33rd, and I stand by what I said.
Am agreed.
Well, also on September 2nd, if Sam is available, we will continue our masks game
Oh, yeah.
for the final.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that schedule works out.
Yeah.
We'll have our summer masks
wrap up.
finale.
Yeah.
And if you're local, look up Strategicon. Strategicon Gateway 2019 is also that weekend, August 30th to September 2nd, where yours truly is a special guest.
exciting.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
invited
That on the website.
to join and give a very weird picture of myself, I felt like, but well, whatever.
good.
And Friday night, there's a meet and greet with all the special guests. There's actually a bunch of cool people who are guests. So if you look it up, I think I've met all of them, and they're really cool people. But Saturday, I'm going to do a little like seminar talk at 7 p.m. talking about like how to set up a scenario for demigods and
Nice.
how to run a campaign and answer questions about the design goals and stuff like that. And then that is going to lead right into the Happy Jacks podcast live stream from the convention, and it's always super fun. So
It's a great
Awesome.
con.
yeah,
I'm going to be celebrating my birthday that weekend, so come
At
out to
the
the con
convention.
and say howdy.
yeah. Howdy and happy birthday. Howdy birthday.
Howdy birthday! Come wish me a howdy birthday. Bring me dice.
Don't we have enough?
No, I want more
never
dice.
enough.
There is never enough dice.
Okay, well, I think that's it. I'm Jason,
I'm Sam.
Candace.
Still Mac.
and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
If I told you the things I've seen on my ways, if I told you the things I've done in my days, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's best I just don't say. I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I killed and fought